All right, first off, let's give Western Kentucky a lot of credit. I thought they came in with the right mindset, and in the end, they wanted it more than we did. I thought we looked sluggish on defense in terms of getting to spots, and then it came down to making plays, making free throws. And you go back, the course of a game, free throws kind of add up. And they made theirs, especially the big guy who's making free throws going down the stretch. And they made some clutch plays. But like I said, talent-wise, a very talented basketball team. And this is another learning curve for our young basketball team. How do you handle the success? And you got to have the understanding. You got to come out and you got to defend. And I didn't think we defended the way we're capable of defending. But let's give credit to Western Kentucky as well.
Mike, what was the plan coming out of the timeout with 19 seconds left? They'd taken the lead, and then what were you guys looking for?
Obviously, we wanted to get the floor spread and get it inside, attack, get a foul, or let's get the ball into Dan. And if they collapse, which they were doing, let's get it to the shooters. We had a little more success than when we opened up the floor and we were in attack mode. They made a good play. Clock went down, and they made a good play. Big fella blocked the shot. But we were trying to get the ball in Dan, trying to get to the free throw line. I think that was what we were trying to do, and try to find Isaiah spotting up or Mason spotting up. So we had the floor spread. Oh, you talking about the one Isaiah? You talking about the one he shot? Well, the guy made a play. I thought if he went maybe one more step, he had Adriel wide open. So, but hindsight's 20/20. That's the learning curve.
I know you're gonna dig this.
So, Merry Christmas. Can you talk about your favorite Christmas moment?
Not right now.
Not right now. Can you talk about your favorite Christmas moment?
Not right now.
Not right now.
It's all dope here.
Answer me now.
No way.
Sports Talk.
We need to hire a batter coach up there.
Wow. From the Fleet Center of Arkansas Studios for all your commercial truck needs.
I'm speaking facts. How about a little decorum in here on a work day?
Filling in for Bo today, here is Bart Pullman.
How we all doing? Yeah. Let's get this party started.
What's up, Bart?
Saul, how you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Excited.
Yeah?
Excited for the show today.
Yeah, well, hey, we got all sorts of stuff. All sorts of stuff to talk about today. There's a lot going on. There's college football playoff expansion talk. I want to get into that. There's talk of Ben Hicks transferring from SMU. Might he be a fit at Arkansas? Get into that a little bit. This Kyler Murray story continues to get more and more interesting as he gets more and more love from NFL scouts. It makes that decision that he has to make a little bit more interesting. Talking about playing baseball or trying to go on to the NFL. A lot of money at stake. We'll get into that a little bit as well. The whole Texas A&M making life more difficult for Arkansas in the SEC conversation continues to be interesting, I think. And people are still talking about the Arkansas basketball team and Mike Anderson and just kind of where things stand with the program. And you've got the people on Twitter who are just upset and they are not going to take it anymore. And then you have the people who are, much more calm and like it's fine. They're really young. Things like this happen when you have a young basketball team. But I think Bo was spot on earlier this week. It's like every time Arkansas loses a game, it is just Mike Anderson's the worst. He can't coach his way out of a paper bag. Blah blah blah, and it's just a bunch of stuff that, as Bo said earlier in the week, is simply not true. And if you want to criticize Mike Anderson, you are welcome to do so. But maybe maybe use actual facts, data, truths to back up your point. And there are certainly things that you could question. And I'm not saying that there aren't, because there certainly are. But when you actually look at the facts and have some perspective, what you find is that Mike Anderson's done a pretty good job at Arkansas and is doing a pretty good job at Arkansas compared to where the program has been. So if you want to weigh in on any of that, the T-Mobile listener line is open. It's 877-447-4040. 877-447-4040. Zach Arns is the executive director of Spirit 52, and we decided to let him hang out with us for a day.
I appreciate it. I'm excited to be here. I looked at the show notes. I'm ready to go.
You were like in awe of the show notes.
I am. This is more detailed than my thesis that got me out of college. So this is pretty impressive stuff.
We go hard. We get after it.
Most of it's wrong, but I am impressed with the detail.
Well, okay, we'll get into that.
Oh yeah,
we'll get into Zach's thoughts. I want to start here though, and it's the college football playoff. And there was a story that came out yesterday from The Athletic. Nicole Auerbach wrote the story. We don't need to wait another 6 years. College football leaders ready to discuss 8-team playoff. And there's a lot in here. There's just a lot to digest and to talk about. So basically what's happening in college football now, according to this story, is that there's a lot of support to expedite the playoff expansion process. So the contract that the college football playoff has with ESPN runs through 2026. And there's talk now that once the halfway point of that contract is hit, that maybe there's an opportunity to expand. And and the growing concern from these people that are quoted in this story is that a system that was designed to nationalize college football instead of regionalize it, make it more appealing to people across the country, is instead doing the opposite. And it's being regionalized with teams from the Southeast regularly playing each other. Now, some of the quotes in here are interesting to say the least. Barry Alvarez, the Wisconsin AD, who served on the selection committee, said everyone has the same feeling. Expansion is inevitable. When you can do it, I think we need to serve more people. He continued by saying, quote, I don't know whether we're serving all of our people now when you have some leagues, our league as an example. 2 years in a row, we don't have anyone represented. The Big 12's been the same way. The Pac-12's been the same way. Well, first of all, Barry, I got news for you. Oklahoma's been in the last 2 college football playoffs. I don't know who you think is in the Big 12, but Oklahoma is one of those teams. Now, Pac-12 has been left out a lot of the playoff. Oregon made one. Washington has made one. But there's a reason for that. It's because the Pac-12 isn't any good. That's the bottom line. And so I read these quotes from Barry Alvarez, and the first thing, Zach, that comes to my mind is that sounds like sour grapes.
Absolutely, 100% sour grapes. But when you look at it, when they first announced the college football playoff, you had 4 teams with 5, the Power 5 conferences. Somebody was going to get left out. And, I mean, it was a ticking time bomb until somebody got 2 schools in, which was the SEC last year. Then you throw somebody in that's not affiliated with a conference, that Notre Dame this year, and now you've got 2 conferences being left out. So, of course, they're going to start chirping about it.
The all-SEC BCS title game, Alabama-LSU, if you remember that, that was the tipping point for the college football playoff, for the dawn of the college football playoff era. And now it could be an all-SEC title game matchup, college football playoff title game matchup between Alabama and Georgia that leads to college football playoff expansion. And when I look at those things, I'm just like, what do you guys want? Because what you've said you want is the best teams having an opportunity to play for a national championship. And I think that's exactly what you've gotten. I think that's what you've got, really, with maybe one exception throughout the BCS era. More often than not, the BCS got it right. And in the playoff era, I think they've gotten it right.
With a couple of exceptions, yes, they've gotten it mostly correct. But I think without having set in stone hard criteria to select your 4 teams or 8 teams or 6 teams, whatever it winds up being, you're always going to have these arguments. If you expand to 6, Team 7 is going to be upset. If you expand to 8, Team 9 is going to be upset. You go to 16, Team 17 is going to be upset. It doesn't matter how many teams you expand to. I mean, where are we at in college basketball now? 70, 68, 69 teams? I mean, Team 69 is still complaining because they didn't get in. You're never going to satisfy everybody until you have hard and fast criteria and stop making it be so subjective. Whether it's, you and I have talked about this, putting conference champions in. If that's one of the criteria, great. Then you pick a certain number of wild cards. That's fantastic. That at least gives you some hard and fast data or data points to get your guys to get the teams into the playoff. Otherwise, it's completely subjective. And the thing that I absolutely hate about the playoff is the eye test. Did you play well? They were talking about Georgia getting in and jumping in Oklahoma. Did they play well that day, or did they play well the entire season? They got a 20-point loss on their resume. Did you just happen to play that way, or did Alabama play poorly and Jalen Hurts lit them on fire in the second half? You don't know. You got to look at the entire body of work. You can't look at it in a vacuum, and that's what drives me nuts about the playoff today. Is that you've got so much subjectivity, and you've got 14 people in a room with 14 different biases.
Well, and part of the conversation that these guys who are quoted in this story, and I'll get into some more of that in just a minute, part of what they talk about is that there's no set criteria. Is that the criteria changes in terms of importance from week to week, or at least that's the perception they get. And again, I think it's more sour grapes than anything. I think it's guys complaining because their teams aren't getting into the playoff. Here's what expanding the playoff isn't going to do. It's not going to change who the best teams are. It's just making them go through more teams to win the championship. But I got news for you. Alabama's still going to be playing for and winning championships. Clemson's still going to be playing for and winning championships. Oklahoma's still going to be competing for championships. Georgia's still going to be competing for championships. That's not going to change. You want to know how many points Alabama would have beaten Washington by this year? Say you expand the playoff and you have conference champions in. And I'll get to Chuck Ninus's plan here in just a second. The former Big 12 commissioner has a plan that he's presented to these influential figures in college football. Alabama would beat Washington senseless. They would beat them by, I don't know, I think you could probably pick the number. More than 20 points, though, for sure.
And they beat them bad last year, too, when they did play. And
Yeah.
they're better this year. So,
Yes.
And they're worse, and Washington's worse.
Yes. Washington lost to Auburn. Granted, it was the first game of the season, but it counts like all the rest. And Auburn, not a good football team this year. I know they still managed to win however many games, 7, 8 games. They weren't that good. They weren't that good. They couldn't score on Arkansas. I mean, I know they won the game 34-3, but it was special teams and the fact that they started with the ball on Arkansas's 8-yard line 7 times in the game. I mean, the whole idea of, look, if you expand the playoff, the criteria has to remain the same. Who are the 8 best teams in college football? So Chuck Ninus's plan, here's what he wants to do. 5 Power 5 conference champions, the top group of 5 champion, and 2 at-large spots. He would eliminate conference championship games and then have the first round hosted by the higher seed when conference championship games would normally occur, and then keep everything else the same. The semifinals, the national championship game, and the bowls, and then the title game. Well, there are a couple of problems with that. Number one is that the SEC ain't giving up its championship game. And Greg Sankey has basically come out and said as much. Like that ain't happening. There's too much money in that event. It was the most watched college football game this season. Alabama, Georgia, SEC championship game. And the SEC championship game was the thing really that started it all. It created the championship game era in college football back in 1992. So that's one thing about that. But here's the deal. The criteria has to be the same. Right now, the committee's tasked with picking the 4 best teams in college football. If you expand to 8, you got to take the 8 best teams in college football. I mentioned Washington, a 9-3 Washington team. Does that team really deserve to make the playoff? They lost to Auburn, Oregon, and Cal this year. They lost to California, who has not been good at football in 37 years. Or at least since Aaron Rodgers was there. But it's a bad football program.
It's not a bad football program.
It has been.
It has been a bad football program. Chris Peterson's done a nice job getting them back to
I'm sorry, I was talking about Cal.
Oh, Cal's terrible. They're awful.
Thank you.
They're absolutely awful.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I get what you're getting at, but if you're gonna expand to 8, you're gonna have to include one of those Power 5 conference teams. I mean, the non-conference, the non-Power 5 teams. You're gonna have to, or else you're going back to court like they did to get into the BCS. So you're going to have to include that, and then you go back to the 2 at-large spots. I'm all for pushing this forward and narrowing the criteria. You've got to do X, Y, and Z to get to the playoff. Period. If you do those 3 things, you're in. If you win, you win your conference, you win your conference title game, you're in. Period. Done. End of story. It's the subjectivity that drives me nuts about this, because then you're getting into what I absolutely detest, which is the eye test. And that's just not fair, because you're going to get into biases there. Well, this team looks great just because I cover them, and I don't know much about this team, but they only won by 14. That stuff will drive me nuts.
I get it. I'll say 2 more things on this, and then we'll hit the phones and take your calls on the T-Mobile listener line, 877-447-4040, the number if you want to get in here. The other part of this so-called Ninus plan, Chuck Ninus plan, is that the top-rated group of 5 champion would get into the playoff. Is UCF really, really, truly one of the 8 best teams in the country? Think about what we're talking about here. I know they've won 26 straight games or whatever it is right now. It could be 100 for all I care. They don't play anybody. And that's part of the resume. Is who you played. And I don't know if you've actually watched UCF play this year. Their defense is worse than Oklahoma's. And they don't have Kyler Murray. I watched Memphis play UCF in the American Conference Championship game. Memphis ran all over them. They were doing what they wanted offensively. And I've seen more than just one team do that against UCF this year. I said Alabama would beat Alabama would beat Washington by at least 20 points. Alabama might beat UCF by 30 or 40 points. UCF has not played a defense that is anywhere close to that caliber. Clemson would do the same, by the way. Georgia would do the same, by the way. Oklahoma, as bad as their defense is, they would do the same. Ohio State would do the same. I mean, I could just go down the list. That's a dangerous slope right there, I think, at least.
I think UCF has an argument. They did beat Auburn last year in the Peach Bowl. You can say
an Auburn team that didn't care.
You can say they didn't play anybody. Auburn's still in the SEC. They are their argument is the length of the winning streak and, hey, we beat Auburn last year. I get what you're saying, that UCF probably physically, if you matched them up, if you put them in the SEC West, they're probably going to finish in the bottom half. I get that. But their argument is they've won X number of games in a row. They beat, I guess it was the SEC runner-up, the SEC West champion last year. That's a bullet point for them. Now, I agree with you that they probably couldn't stop you, me, and 9 people. We'd score 45 on them. And they're not one of the best 8 teams in the country. But did they earn it is my question, did they earn the right to go or call themselves one of the best 8 teams in the country?
And I don't think the answer is yes to that.
I wouldn't disagree with you on paper, but on the field, 26 in a row.
I would love to schedule an exhibition game between UCF and Alabama and just see what happens, just to maybe quiet everybody. We got to hit a break. We're way past time to hit a break. We're coming straight to your calls when we come back. 877-447-4040. It's the T-Mobile listener line.
This is Sports Talk with Bo Mattingly. Streaming live on sportandstory.com.
So you hear that the Powerball and Mega Millions jackpots are a chance to win a ridiculous amount of money, and you want to get in on the action. The Quick Pick option makes getting a ticket simple and fast. Just stop by your Arkansas Scholarship Lottery retail store and ask the cashier for a quick pick. Your computer-generated numbers are printed out in seconds, so play your lucky numbers or play it quick. Just play. Either way could be your ticket to more. Call 1-800-522-4700 for Problem Gambling Helpline.
Razorback women's basketball is back inside Bud Walton Arena on Wednesday, November 28th at 7 p.m. for a matchup with Oral Roberts University. Tickets are $5 for adults and $3 for kids 12 and under. Doors open at 6 p.m., so bring out the family and come have some fun. Get your tickets at the door or call 1-800-982-HOGS or visit ArkansasRazorbacks.com. Stand side by side with the Razorback women's basketball.
The Ozarks, one incredible store featuring Ozark Sportsman Supply, Ozark Outpost Clothing and Footwear, and the new Ozark Java Shop. The Ozarks has 23,000 square feet of incredible deals where every day is a sale. At the Ozarks, prices are marked down upon arrival almost every product as it arrives. That means they're immediately passing big savings on to you. Bring the family in for an experience like none other in the tri-state area. Where else can you find firearms and the hottest boutique brands all in one place? It's only at the Ozarks. They have a live fire 15-lane indoor gun range, a huge selection of footwear and boots, and the best selection of gun safes in the region with free delivery within 30 miles. And be on the lookout because fishing supplies and kayaks are coming soon. There is so much to discover at the Ozarks, an experience the entire family will enjoy together. Go check out the Ozarks, Ozark Sportsman Supply, Ozark Outpost Clothing and Footwear, and the new Ozark Java Shop, proudly serving Black Rifle Coffee. Check them out today, Highway 412 west of Springdale in Tawnytown.
This is Sports Talk with Bo Mattingly.
Greg McElroy joining us on the First Security Bank Hotline. Former Alabama and NFL quarterback, now ESPN college football analyst, and you can catch him mornings on ESPNU Radio. Greg, great to have you on, man. Thanks for making time for us.
Yeah, you got it, Bo. How you doing, brother?
I'm well, and you were on a topic today that we talk about fairly often here, which is how difficult the Arkansas job can be. I know it's asking you to repeat yourself a little, but you guys were on the topic of difficult jobs today. Where is Arkansas on that list?
It's up there, man. The one thing that I would say about Arkansas, though, is that the fans, albeit, yeah, they want to win, they're reasonable about their expectations. So, I would put Arkansas not in the same sense as like a Kansas State. We got on the topic today because Kansas State hired Chris Kleiman, from North Dakota State, and I'm like, man, if you could take a job, you're at North Dakota State, and you're going 65-5 over the last few years. You're just stepping into a role that's nearly impossible. So that's kind of how we got into the rabbit hole of most difficult jobs. And Arkansas came up, and I've felt this way for a while since Texas A&M got in the league. The Arkansas job is the toughest in the SEC and among the toughest in the Power 5. I really believe that because Arkansas used to have a ticket to all the players in the state of Texas, and not even just players, like just students. Like students that wanted a Southeastern Conference experience could go from Texas to the Dallas-Fort Worth area to Arkansas and pay in-state tuition and have that SEC experience. Like all my friends are Arkansas fans, every single one of them. So it's been a challenge since Texas A&M got in the league because now kids can say, well, I'll just stay in state and I'll have that same experience and I'll get to play for a state school that I'm proud of, and I'll be able to contend, hopefully, in the nicest facilities in college football for an SEC championship someday. So I think that A&M made the Arkansas job exponentially more difficult.
Hit me with it. Just give it to me straight.
The ball kind of popped out, but I put it back in.
I didn't alter the ball in any way.
I said, let's lose 11-5.
And now it's time for Sports Talk's No Malarkey Minute. Brought to you by Mr. Sparky, Northwest Arkansas's on-time electrician. Call 888-8-SPARKY today.
Greg Tepper, who covers football, college and high school in the state of Texas for Dave Campbell's Texas Football, was on the show yesterday. And we asked him about Ben Hicks SMU quarterback who is now transferring from SMU and whether he would be a fit at Arkansas.
Ben Hicks was the guy, that kind of hand-picked guy at SMU by Chad Morris coming out of the Waco area to be his quarterback. Ben Hicks has had a really up-and-down career. He's the all-time leading passer in SMU history, but he can be a bit careless with the ball. But he's obviously got a terrific relationship with Chad Morris. It would not surprise me at all if you were to see Chad Morris and Ben Hicks hook up once again in a graduate transfer situation.
Here's what's no malarkey. If Arkansas can get Ben Hicks, they should. And here's why, because he'd be instantly better than anything you have on campus right now. And you are in the business of winning football games, and it would behoove you to win more games sooner rather than later. That's the case. You don't want to, if you're Chad Morris, you don't want to be going through another 2, 3, 4 win season next year. You don't want to be in that situation. So you do everything you can to get a guy in here who is a better option than what you currently have. And that's not a knock against who they have right now. I think Connor Noland is going to end up being a good quarterback for Arkansas. I think KJ Jefferson is a kid who, while we haven't seen him at this level yet, certainly has potential to be somebody who fits. But that's down the road, and we're talking about next year. The No Malarkey Minute is brought to you by Mr. Sparky, Northwest Arkansas's on-time electrician. If you have an electrical problem, doesn't matter how big or small, call our friends at Mr. Sparky. You know the number. It's 888-8-SPARKY. You can even schedule your appointment online at MrSparkyNWA.com.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
The T-Mobile listener line is 877-447-4040. Matt is in Baldwin.
Yeah, guys, your college football playoff, I just wanted to interject that you guys obviously are correct. It's to get the best 4 teams to decide the championship, but I think just as equal that people don't talk about a lot is it's all about making money. And the West Coast, nobody cares. The North and the East, nobody cares. That's a lot of TV sets. They're tuning in. And then you got the UCF deal, which I agree they don't deserve to be in there. But a lot of people will watch that don't really care about college football just to see if, Goliath can get beat by David. So I think that has a lot more to do with it than anything else. It's just getting more people to watch, make more money.
Oh, I think you're absolutely right, Matt. And I think the playoff is going to expand at some point. I think that is inevitable. It's just a matter of how they do it and whether or not it's the right way to do it and a good thing for the sport. Just haphazardly throwing all conference champions into the mix is not the right way to do it unless maybe you eliminate conference championship games. But guess what? Not all conferences are going to want to eliminate their conference championship games.
Until you show the presidents and the ADs a model where they can make more money than they do in the bowl system, it's not going to happen. You come up with that model, you prove that you run the numbers, you make sure that model works. The ADs and the presidents will be interested. Until that comes around, this is what you're going to get. And they can preach academics and all that kind of stuff, but I mean they do it at the FCS level, they do it at Division II, Division III. I mean these kids are playing 15 games, so that's not a legitimate argument. They're going to hide behind that. It's follow the dollars, and if you show them a model where they're going to make as much or more than the bowl system, then you're onto something. Until that happens, it's simply not. It's not plausible. They're not going to go for it.
So if you expand the playoff and you don't eliminate conference championship games, but you're taking conference champions as automatic qualifiers, we're living in a world in which a 7-6 Pitt team could have made the college football playoff.
That would be the world. Yeah, that's reasonable.
An 8-5 Northwestern team could have made the college football playoff. And if you mean to tell me that one of those schools is among the 8 best teams in the country, you are insane.
To make it work, you're going to have to the schools would have to give something back. You're either going to have to start the season earlier, which would be August, the 3rd week in August, 2nd week in August. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to start the season. You're going to have to give something back. You have to give these kids a break during the season, and you're going to have to start the playoffs sometime around Thanksgiving weekend. to make that work, to make the numbers work, to get it done by the second week in January. So until you get all of that worked out, it's simply not going to happen.
Let's go to Sterling in Center Ridge. Sterling, how's it going, man?
Oh, it's going great, and y'all exactly right. And you're gonna not just make more money; you got to make a lot more money. They're not just going to do it for a few peanuts. It's going to have to be substantial to make a move like this. But I was calling it. Had y'all seen what Stephen A. did today?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I fell out on Stephen A. Now he talks to NBA. Pay attention. He knows what he's talking about. He's cool in. He's tuned in to the NBA like no other. But when he goes to other sports, he's a grain of salt. It was one time I heard him say, it was during a playoff game. He was recapping the playoff game in a team. I think it was San Diego. He was saying, why didn't they kick the ball on third down, or kick the field goal on third down? That way, if you miss it, you can kick it again on fourth down.
Oh my gosh!
I about fell out. I was done with him after that when it comes to other sports. Now, NBA, not even college basketball. It got to be strictly the NBA. I listen to him. All the other stuff, he just talking loud, trying to be entertaining. I mean, and today, and he tried to call it just a simple mistake. It's not a simple mistake when you got everybody wrong. He just didn't mess up one name.
Oh yeah.
He named off y'all. I mean, I'm sure y'all saw it. It was ridiculous.
I didn't just see it, Sterling. I've got the clip.
And if you can play that, that'll just make my day. Give me another laugh. But give me a 3 minutes so I can use the bathroom first. That way I'll be ready for it. Y'all guys have a wonderful day.
All right, Sterling. Thanks, man.
Did you check out the Chargers Twitter account?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Dan Fouts, Lance Allworth, and LaDainian Tomlinson also out.
Yeah, it needs some context. We'll play this coming up for you a little bit later, maybe as the cut of the day coming up in just a little bit. Adam Rittenberg covers college football for ESPN. He has graded all the first-year head coaches. What grade did he give Chad Morris? Why did he give him that grade? And which of these guys is going to be the most successful? We'll get into that with Adam Rittenberg coming up.
This is Sports Talk with Bo Mattingly. Streaming live on sportandstory.com.
Greg McElroy, ESPN SEC Network college football analyst, and here in mornings on ESPNU Radio. When you watch the Heisman Trophy ceremony play out and Kyler Murray wins it and Tua comes in second after, it looked like it was in his grasp much of the season. Do you think this came down to the last weekend of the season, the SEC championship game, Big 12 championship game?
I think it's a combination of a lot of factors. The SEC championship game is obviously a significant one. I really believe that had Tua gone out and lit it up against Georgia, he probably would have won the award. But then again, I mean, I don't think that many people are going to be prisoners in the moment. I would hope that the voters would look at the entire body of work and make their determination by doing other things. I think there's a few things. One, Kyler's a runner. And when you're a runner and you can create highlight reel plays, right now there's too many voters, Bo. It's ridiculous how many people have votes that are unworthy of having votes.
Agreed.
Fanboys, if you will. For instance, Johnny Tuscaloosa, who's on a local radio show, who literally all he does is tweet Auburn jokes all day long, and his Twitter profile says Heisman voter. It's like what?
I brought this up yesterday. I feel like the system's antiquated. I feel like we need to sort of revise how we vote on the Heisman. If you take the College Football Playoff Committee as an example, I'm not saying it needs to be exactly the same, but this is it's if we're going to continue to hold it in such high prestige, I feel like we might want to change how. And make sure that the people analyzing all the data know how to analyze the data.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of fanboys, Bo, because right now it's all about regional representation. Now we got to make sure we get enough people from the Southeast and the Midwest. No one cares anymore. It's not a regional sport anymore. It's a national sport. Times have changed. It's time for the Heisman voting process to change alongside it. It's ridiculous. We're stuck in the 1970s when it comes to voting for the Heisman Trophy. And honestly, it's absurd. I mean, so the voting issues aside, I think it's become a stat-based award and an award that is handed out because of highlights. And honestly, Baker Mayfield made a lot of highlight reel plays, but what really started to make me feel this way is when Lamar Jackson won the Heisman. Like, don't get me wrong, Lamar was a sensation. But if you look at the plays that made you say, wow, I mean, Lamar had more of those than Deshaun Watson or anyone else that season. Like, if you just stay in the pocket and throw a seed, no one's saying, wow, except for quarterback. Like, when you run around and make a million guys miss, you're falling down and you're running in circles. And
Get this party started.
You're doing things, you're running around like crazy.
How we all doing?
Jaw drop.
Yeah.
So,
let's get this party started.
That's
all. How you doing?
If you are heavily favored in the highlights on ESPN,
well, man,
excited. You know, if you're playing the noon games and your highlights,
a lot going on
between the games. You're seeing this
all sorts of
halftime
stuff to talk about
the
today.
4 o'clock
There's
game,
all
then
sorts of stuff
at the end of the 4 o'clock game. Then you're seeing at the halftime of the primetime game. It's like it's a highlight-based award because we have people that have responsibilities at a stadium on game day that are responsible for covering one team.
And now, the Ozark Sportsman Supply Hog Update.
Arkansas linebacker D. Walker arrested Wednesday on drug and gun charges. The university releasing a statement saying Walker is suspended indefinitely from the football team and they will continue to monitor the situation. Walker played in all 12 games this past season and had 17 tackles. On the hardwood, Arkansas prepare ahead to Little Rock. Former Ole Miss head coach and current SEC analyst Andy Kennedy is impressed with what he's seen from freshman Isaiah Joe.
I think it jumps off the page at me. I had never seen Isaiah Joe. I'd never heard his name. I didn't know anything about him. Man, that kid can play. Really, really impressed with his ability to make shots. Sometimes guys just have it. He's just got a poise to his game that typically you don't see for a freshman in his first month and a half of the season.
The freshman from Fort Smith is averaging 16.4 points per game. It's 33 three-pointers through 8 games. Tip-off between Arkansas and UTSA Saturday at 7 p.m. I'm Melissa Orange for the Pig Trail Nation, and that's your Hog Update.
Filling in for Bo today, here is Bart Bowman.
Thanks, Alyssa. The Hog Update is brought to you by Ozark Sportsman Supply, where they're having the first annual All Fridays Matter sale this weekend at the Ozarks. The Ozarks in Tawnytown, they know that on payday, Friday, everybody has to stretch the dollar, especially at Christmas time. So the sale this weekend will smash all their other Friday sales away, including Black Friday. They're repeating their amazing Black Friday sale this weekend. Big savings for you on brands such as Banded, Columbia, Under Armour, Southern Marsh, and many more. Everything in both stores will be 10 to 70% off retail price. Not to mention they've got the most unique gift items that can be found only at the Ozarks. So go and shop and save at their biggest sale of the year, Ozark Sportsman Supply and Ozark Outpost on Highway 412 in Tawnytown. Let's go to the First Security Bank hotline and welcome in Adam Rittenberg, covering college football for ESPN and ESPN.com. Adam, thanks so much for hopping on with us today.
Oh, good to be with you, Bart. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. You know, the college football playoff conversation has escalated, I would say, in the past couple of days in terms of talking about expansion. And I'm curious, do you think that what these guys are saying, I'm talking about the Barry Alvarez's of the world, is that just sour grapes or do they have a point?
Well, I think they have some points for sure. I think it's very hard to sustain a system when it's so exclusive. I mean, every American sport has expanded its playoff, and I think right now the system is so limited, and we talk about it all year long, but then you have swaths of the country every year that are going to be excluded. So I do think that going to an 8-team system, and I know there's some difficulties in getting there, in most seasons would bring in more of the country, would make it a true national playoff. that would increase interest, because I do think you're going to see a drop-off if it's the same teams every year. I really do. Whether that's right or wrong, I just think you're also running a business here, and you have to look out for it that way.
I think expansion would be great, and I think it's probably inevitable, but I'm with you that there are some real difficulties in how you get to 8 teams. And I know that one of the models from Chuck Ninus, the former Big 12 commissioner, has conference championship games being eliminated. And I just don't think that's something that Greg Sankey is going to be like, yeah, you know what? Hey, take the SEC championship game. You know, we're fine. You can have it. We'll go to this 8-team playoff.
No, and nor should they. I mean, the SEC has great reverence for their championship game. It's been around a long time. It's brought a lot of great moments. It means a great deal to everybody in the SEC. I would say that that's the only championship game that matters. I mean, so that's what you're up against potentially if you're the SEC. I would love to see a system in place that the championship games could still be played and you could still go to 8 teams. I don't think it's that hard to create that. But I know the Ninus model, got rid of championship games, which, again, I don't think that would matter so much for the Big 10, ACC, Big 12, Pac-12, but it certainly would create a major problem for the SEC folks.
How do you feel, Adam, about the idea of conference champions automatically getting into the playoff? And I asked that like this way. So if you just take this year, for example, and you still had conference championship games, if Pitt beats Clemson, they're in the playoff. And I just feel like that's not right.
No, I'm with you. And that's why when I posted on Twitter last night, kind of my ideal playoff would not have automatic qualifiers at all. Or if you did want to have conference champions of the power leagues be automatically in, there should be a cutoff so that the committee would still do a ranking. And if you're not in the top 10 or not in the top 12, you're out of the playoff, which I think, again, speaks to more competitive situations and just a more exciting playoff in that case. And no one would have wanted to see Pitt. No one would have wanted to see Northwestern. No one would have wanted to see Washington or Utah get in. I even think Texas. I mean, I don't think Texas was necessarily a worthy playoff team, although they would have had 2 wins over Oklahoma. So maybe you can make a case for Texas this year. So I think that would be a tricky part of this. But I also think, just in general, by going to 8, you would be able to have a greater diverse representation. Because I'm telling you, if this thing was Georgia, Alabama, and Clemson again with the Notre Dame team that's thrown in there, there would be a lot of the country that wouldn't care about this year's playoff. I'm just telling you that.
No, I think it's a very valid point. How long do you think it'll be until we see an 8-team playoff? Do you think it's something that'll happen sooner, or do you think it might be more toward the end of the contract that the playoff has with ESPN?
Yeah. Typically, these things move slowly. I wonder if they could even happen in the next year or so. I mean, it would be logical just because of the rotation to have it change after the midway point, which would be after next season. But I don't know if they would be able to put that in place quickly enough. So it may go longer. It may go closer to the full 12 years. It may go to the full 12 years before you see an expanded playoff. But I do think it's going to happen. I do sense the momentum. And again, I think the one thing about the piece in The Athletic, which was most notable, we finally heard from some presidents. We hear from athletic directors. We hear from analysts. We hear from coaches. We hear from players. We rarely hear from presidents, and there were some voices in that piece that I think will resonate a little bit if the discussion continues to pick up steam here.
We're visiting with Adam Rittenberg. He covers college football nationally for ESPN, ESPN.com. Adam, recently you went through all the first-year head coaches and gave them grades for how they did this season. Notably, for Razorback fans, Chad Morris got a D-, which I don't think is unfair, but I'm curious how you would describe his first year at Arkansas.
Right. Well, it wasn't good. And there's no sugarcoating that. I do think there were some unique challenges there from any new coach stepping in, but also just the offense being so different from what they had done there with Brett Bielema, the types of players they'd recruited, and that takes some time to flip it. So I didn't expect an A grade necessarily for Chad Morris, but not winning a game in the SEC, being often inept offensively, Special teams, I'm sure you've discussed, was a major problem, and it's been kind of a problem under Chad Morris throughout his head coaching tenure at SMU and now Arkansas. So those are areas that fall on coaching, and also the way they ended the season. I mean, it seemed like they had a little bit of momentum, close loss to Ole Miss, close loss to LSU, and then the bottom just falls out there against Mississippi State and Missouri with only 6 points scored in the last 2 weeks. So that's not the way you want to end the season. You want to be able to feel a little bit better about progress, and it was hard to feel that way about Arkansas after the way they ended the year.
Adam, I'll get you out of here with this. There were 3 SEC coaches that you gave grades of C or worse. Chad Morris, Matt Luke at Ole Miss, Jeremy Pruitt at Tennessee. Of those guys, who do you think is going to have the most success at their current job?
It's going to be, I think next year's a big year for Matt Luke. I think he could be kind of a fringe hot seat guy if things don't go well because of the way he got the job. That's always how I judge, how long a guy can keep a job is how he got the job. But in some ways their roster may be a little bit closer to having success. I don't know how long it's going to take Chad to flip it at Arkansas. I think he does have a real chance with his offensive track record to have success there. And then Tennessee's an interesting one. I do think Jeremy Pruitt probably would be my choice to that answer or to that question because of his ability to recruit and the fact that they're in the East. I think that helps. But I think all 3 of those coaches have their work cut out for them. Certainly, none of them ended the season very well. I mean, we talked about Arkansas, but Ole Miss lost their last 5. Tennessee seemed to be in a really good position to make a bowl game, and then their last 2 games they lose, and it wasn't pretty. So definitely a lot of work ahead for those 3 coaches.
He's Adam Rittenberg covering college football for ESPN and ESPN.com. Adam, always enjoy visiting with you. Thanks so much for the time.
Thank you, Bart. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too. Absolutely. And Merry Christmas if we don't talk to you before then. Adam Rittenberg with us on the First Security Bank hotline. You can help make Christmas a bit brighter for the nearly 4,500 Arkansas children in foster care. From now through December 15th, Restore Hope Arkansas and Red Door Tables invite you to drop off a monetary gift card, or new unwrapped toy at any First Security banking location. Donations will be distributed to local children through partner agencies of the Arkansas Division of Children and Family Services. Let's help make Christmas a magical time for all the children of Arkansas. The cut of the day coming up next.
This is Sports Talk with Bo Mattingly, streaming live on sportandstory.com.
You probably haven't thought about how to act like a millionaire, because if you're like me, you aren't one. But the new Ultimate Million Scratch-Off game from the Arkansas Scholarship Lottery, it's going to make 4 people into instant millionaires, which means you need to be ready for important decisions, like how does a millionaire walk? Do I need a new nickname, a secret millionaire handshake, which car to take to work, or should I even show up? Hey, it's time to start thinking like a millionaire, Arkansas, because you could be millionairing soon. Call 1-800-522-4700 for Problem Gambling Helpline.
Lindsay Golf Courses range from 27-hole championship to 9-hole par 3s and are making a presence in affordable country club memberships for both individuals and families. Our challenging courses and extensive amenities are designed to attract golfers of all ability levels and offer recreational and social opportunities for members. In Bryant, Hurricane Golf and Country Club, Benton, Long Hills Golf Club, Conway, Centennial Valley Golf and Country Club, Nutters Chapel Golf and Country Club, and in Little Rock, Eagle Hill Golf and Athletic Club. Lindsay Golf Courses.
Hi, Bo Mattingly here. There's nothing more frustrating than electrical problems. Breakers tripping, lights flickering, or problems with your home's electrical system. And it always seems to happen at the worst possible time. I say call Mr. Sparky, the company to call to get your electricity fixed right and right now. They have an impeccable record for delivering fast electric service, straightforward, upfront pricing, and a 100% satisfaction guarantee.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Are you in the market for a new pool or spa? Seaside Pools and Spas has been constructing quality pools in the 4-state area since 1967. It's your one-stop shop for chemicals, equipment, spas, and in-ground pools. With a service department like no other, Seaside Pools and Spas can also help you with all your pool or spa repair needs. Visit Seaside Pools and Spas today in Springdale, Bentonville, and Joplin, Missouri. Seaside Pools and Spas.
Life is better with football and with First Security.
We have the know-how to tackle your needs, plus a local team you can count on. What's your better? Get there with us. First Security. Bank better. FSbank.com, member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
This is Sports Talk with Bo Mattingly.
All right. First off, let's give Western Kentucky a lot of credit. I thought they came in with the right mindset, and in the end, they wanted it more than we did. I thought we looked sluggish on defense in terms of getting to spots, and then it came down to making plays, making free throws, and you go back, the course of a game, free throws kind of add up, and they made theirs, especially the big guy who's making free throws going down the stretch, and they made some clutch plays. And but like I said, talent-wise, a very talented basketball team, and this is another learning curve for our young basketball team. How do you handle the success? And you got to have the understanding. You got to come out and you got to defend. And I didn't think we defended the way we're capable of defending. But let's give credit to Western Kentucky as well.
Mike, what was the plan coming out of the timeout with 19 seconds left? They'd taken the lead, and then what were you guys looking for?
Obviously, we wanted to get the floor spread and get it inside, attack, get a foul, or let's get the ball into Dan. And if they collapse, which they were doing, just get it to the shooters. We had a little more success than when we opened up the floor and we were in attack mode. They made a good play. The clock went down, and they made a good play. Big fella blocked the shot. But we were trying to get the ball in Dan, trying to get to the free throw line. I think that was what we were trying to do, and try to find Isaiah spotting up or Mason spotting up. So we had the floor spread. Oh, you talking about the one Isaiah? You talking about the one he shot? Well, the guy made a play. I thought if he went maybe one more step, he had Adriel wide open. So, but hindsight's 20/20. That's the learning curve. You got to learn how to make plays and make the right play. But the play before that, you go down.
When did you know you were going to get fired? Probably the first day I took the job.
Dave won the championship of life.
You're not giving any kind of effort, and things we think is ridiculous, you wear orange.
I don't get the head comb.
The cut of the day.
The ball came through the basket. It was at 0. Game's over. Dogs win.
Presented by Bud Anderson Home Services. One call does it all. 855-GO-CALL-BUD.
Do you know what you don't know?
Filling in for Bo today, here is Bart Pullman.
We teased it earlier when Sterling called in. Stephen A. Smith, well, he had a rough go of it earlier today. And he was talking about the Los Angeles Chargers, the Los Angeles part of that being a key phrase. And, man, he struggled. And I don't like to, make fun of fellow members of the media because, especially those guys, what they do, it's not easy. But when you get as many things wrong as he did in such a short amount of time, well, we're going to play it.
I'm keeping my eyes on this matchup right here.
Spencer Ware's out.
I'm sorry?
Spencer Ware is out.
Oh, yes, I forgot. I'm sorry, Max. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
absolutely. He is out. But I'm thinking Tyreek Hill. I'm thinking Patrick Mahomes. I'm also looking at the San Diego Chargers on offense, and I'm thinking about Hunter Henry and the way that he's played this year and as effective as he's been. He's going up against Derek Johnson, and I got to keep my eyes on that because I'm looking at it from the standpoint. Listen, here's where I'm at with all of this.
Well, let me tell you where you're at with all that, Stephen A. Let's see. Spencer Ware is not going to be playing in the game. That's number one. Number two, they are the Los Angeles Chargers and not the San Diego Chargers. That's two. Number three, and most relevant to Razorback fans, Hunter Henry has not played a snap of football this year because he's been on the IR. Has not played a snap of football. And fourth, Derek Johnson does not play for the Kansas City Chiefs. He doesn't play for anybody right now. He is currently unemployed in terms of his football career. So, yikes. That's just yikes. The cut of the day brought to you by Bud Anderson. In the cold of winter, an untuned heating system can suddenly turn your home into an uncomfortable place. That's why for a limited time, Bud Anderson is offering a furnace tune-up and safety inspection for $79 per system. Let Bud Anderson ensure you have a smooth running system all winter long. Schedule your heating tune-up by calling 479-439-7946 or go call Bud.com.
You are listening to Sports Talk, produced by Bart Pullman, directed by Sire Radler. Want the latest commentary, interviews, takes, and phone calls?
Anytime, anywhere.
Check out Sports Talk Primetime, Arkansas's premier sports talk podcast. Find it on iTunes or online at sportsandstory.com.
Hey, it's Bo Mattingly. I want to tell you about Ozark Sportsman Supply and Outpost Casual Clothing and Footwear. 2 distinct stores, 1 convenient location, offering the best in outdoor gear and designer fashion. It's a shopping experience for the whole family. And if you're into the great outdoors, you're going to love Ozark Sportsman Supply. They have the largest selection of guns in the state, 2 indoor ranges, a huge selection of gun safes, all with free delivery within 30 miles. They have all your hunting needs under one roof. And at Ozark Outpost Casual Clothing and Footwear, they got all your favorite brands, men, women, and children. Brands like Southern Marsh, Southern Tide, Billabong, O'Neill, Fayetteville, Lauren James, Lucky Brand, Dear John, Tommy Bahama, Carhartt, and more. And now introducing the new Ozark Java Shop, proudly serving Black Rifle Coffee. Come experience the most unique shopping destination in Arkansas with all your favorite brands under one roof. It's Ozark Sportsman Supply and Ozark Outpost Casual Clothing and Footwear. Highway 412, just west of Springdale in Tawnytown.
Fleet Center of Arkansas is hosting a toy drive benefiting Arkansas Children's Northwest, now through December 16th. Bring in 1 toy valued at $25 and receive $500 off your down payment. Bring in 2 toys, receive $1,000 off. Fleet Center of Arkansas has huge savings on the highest quality vehicles of your choice and offers a full array of financing options to meet your needs. Stop by Fleet Center of Arkansas in Rogers off Hudson Road. Drop off a toy and find the right vehicle for the job.
Ahead to Gafford. How about a windmill? Let's put a little exclamation point on it.
Hog fans, it's officially time for Razorback basketball inside Bud Walton Arena. After 3 NCAA tournament appearances in the last 4 years, Mike Anderson and the Hogs are ready to make another postseason run. Arkansas will host Georgia Tech on Wednesday, December 19th at 8 p.m. You can purchase your tickets today by going to ArkansasRazorbacks.com or over the phone at 1-800-982-HOGS.
Life is better with football. And with First Security, we have the know-how to tackle your needs, plus a local team you can count on. What's your better? Get there with us. First Security. Bank better. FSBank.com, member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
This is Sports Talk with Bo Mattingly.
But the play before that, you go down and all we got to do is defend. I don't know how, but we had a guy that fall. I don't know how, and he left the big guy wide open, and somebody came over to help, and now that Nelson gets a wide open layup. So that's a breakdown in your defense.
How we all doing?
Western Kentucky controlled tempo both halves pretty much.
I thought for the most part they did. We had some spurts there in the second half, even when we got down. I thought early in the game we made some shots early on. The motion to come in playing home was there, but I thought they did. They did a good job of controlling tempo. And then when you don't make shots, obviously it's going to rely a lot on your defense. And like I said, I just thought we were a little sluggish, and I don't know if the Colorado State hangover coming from there. We shot the ball well and played well, and then it's a quick turnaround. But at the end of the day, they made more plays than we did. They had one more play that they made that we didn't.
Other than Sills, did you feel the bench just wasn't up to what it's been?
They've been playing better. They've played much better. Though they didn't play well. And as I said, that's a big component of our basketball team. Is our bench guys coming in and bringing energy and bringing that defensive mindset. And so we didn't do that tonight. And so it's a learning curve that every game we play is going to be a big game. And teams going to come, whether we play at home or on the road.
How we all doing?
They're going to come and leave it out on the floor. And your want to has got to be much bigger and better than theirs. And I thought they wanted a little bit more than we did.
How'd you feel Sills did as far as the second half?
What we're talking on paper, but on the field.
Hit me with it.
Did you know you were going to get...
How we all doing?
your all's perspective?
I was just trying to stay alert. You know, I had a chance to grab it, misjudged it, mistimed it. You know, I couldn't get a hand on it.
And you guys obviously got off to a good start, but they made a good run there in the second half to get the lead. What was happening? Maybe for both y'all, what was happening when I think they had a 9-0 run to get the lead?
We wasn't connected like how we were initially. Like when they had their run, we wasn't connected defensively. It was kind of breaking us down. But throughout the game, we had our spots when we locked in, and so they just had that little run. We couldn't recover from it.
They had a better game than us offensively and defense. We didn't come out mentally prepared, so next time we will.
How tough was Bassey inside?
It ain't nothing. It wasn't. Dan is, me personally, that's my personal. I feel like Dan is, way more physical than he was. But he's a good player, a great player. He's has a bright future. He has a good future ahead of him. So yeah.
Okay. They hit a lot of threes. I guess especially Hollingsworth and Savage. Just how tough were they on the threes today?
We knew from the game plan. We knew that they were gonna, shoot it, from deep. Just get their shots on. We just wasn't connected how we were. But everything that we didn't do is fixable.
I know you're gonna dig this.
Bart is a good influence. I can answer the question. Bart's probably more of an influence on me than I've been on him. He's my elder. And
wow. I would restate that.
See y'all later.
Hold it.
I'm out of here.
It's all dope here.
Answer me now.
No way. Sports Talk.
We need to hire a better coach up there.
Wow.
From the Fleet Center of Arkansas Studios. Best prices on commercial trucks.
I'm speaking facts.
How about a little decorum in here on a work day?
Filling in for Bo today, here is Bart Pullman.
Yeah, I eventually came back after that. I made my way back into the studio. It took some convincing, though. Guys were just beating up on me, just pummeling me. Bo and Mike Irwin and Saw.
I did chime in.
Just taking shots.
This is on Twitter?
No, this
during
was
the show yesterday.
On the show yesterday.
Oh, yeah. I didn't hear yesterday.
Well, it just played right there, Clay.
Clay didn't have his headphones on. It's okay. I called Bart my elder, and he walked out of the studio.
Well, that was the last line in a
string of
Irwin talking about how I'm a terrible influence on people around me. And I was just like, wow, Mike, that's pretty rude.
I think you're pretty mundane, to be honest. I don't think you would hurt anybody. I mean, I don't think you would lead anybody down the wrong path. You certainly wouldn't be a bad influence. I
appreciate that, Clay.
Yeah, I mean, that's like, of all the guys that I know,
I'm one of them.
You're one of them.
Yeah. I figured that was
you knew that was coming.
Yeah. I've heard it too many times, Clay.
No, I mean, but seriously, you don't have anything bad. I mean, you have rants, but there's nothing bad in your bones. I mean, I don't think you would hurt a fly.
And this is coming from Clay Henry, who we know is
I'm pretty mundane
checkered
too.
past.
Checkered past.
No.
Well, we know Clay likes to party. We do know that. We've learned that over the course of the last several months.
I mean, a party to me is like extra Reese's peanut butter cups.
That's true. He's already 4 in today.
Which is not a bad deal, really. I enjoy Reese's peanut butter cups.
The king size version.
Yeah, absolutely. Clay Henry is the publisher of Hogs Illustrated, or as we've come to call it, Clay Henry's Football Magazine. That's the voice you're hearing. He's in here with me. Zach Arns
still here.
Is the executive director of Spirit 52.
I noticed you didn't ask me what I thought of you.
Yeah.
I don't want to go there.
This is your time.
This is no comment.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Not going to stick up for Bart.
Bart and I are about to throw hands.
Well, Zach and I have been having an office debate for the past several days now over favorite Christmas movie. And
I'm right. He's wrong. It's that simple.
Zach is adamant that it is A Christmas Story.
Good one.
I, of course, for those who know me, and if you've listened to this show long enough, I am adamant that it is Christmas Vacation.
So.
And
thank you.
Not only do I not think that it is A Christmas Story, A Christmas Story is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I strongly dislike that movie.
Bart,
so
I support your right to make wrong choices.
Yeah, well, that's great. Here's Clay. Would you knock that off over there? Would you turn that off for me?
Christmas Story.
Oh, we gotta vote. Uh-oh.
Definitely turn your phone off now. I mean, A Christmas Story. Everybody knows the line, right?
No, I want an official red undercover knife and 200 jet rifle.
You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
Yeah, everybody knows that, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
It's classic American cinema.
So I'm going duck hunting tomorrow. It's this first weekend that I get to go. And my wife, as I'll exit the house, what is she going to tell me?
You'll shoot your eye.
You'll shoot your eye out.
Every time.
That's
and then she laughs.
Oh, yeah,
that's great. And that's
I know
one.
it's coming. I just wait. I've got my shotgun, and I've my bag with all my shotgun shells, and I just wait because okay.
That's great.
Anything you want to say?
It's a great line. It's a great line. Yeah, it's a great line. But then you turn to Christmas Vacation and you've got.
I heard on the news that an airline pilot spotted Santa's sled on its way in from New York.
You serious, Clark?
I mean, it's great. It's great.
I love Christmas Vacation.
All right, look.
I mean, and then
And why is the carpet all wet, Todd?
I don't know, Margot.
A little lights are not twinkling.
I know, Art, and thanks for noticing.
I could keep going.
If I woke up tomorrow with my head sewn to the carpet,
And none
I
of
wouldn't
these
be
are
more
funny.
surprised than I am right now.
Get out of here.
Look,
Yeah, I got the daughter in the clinic.
A Christmas
Off
Story.
the wild turkey.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And
Let
the
you
older
finish.
boy, bless his soul, is preparing for his career.
College?
Carnival.
You gotta be proud.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Get something for you, Clark. Something really nice.
and one more.
You worked really hard, Grandma.
So do washing machines.
I mean, it's just
You
liner
just-
after
you-
liner
you-
after
in,
liner.
In 1.5 minutes, you just played the entire movie. And thank you.
That is not true.
Look, A Christmas Story is like Michael Jordan of Christmas movies.
Let's get
Christmas
some music
Vacation
for this conversation.
Christmas Vacation is somewhat like Jermaine O'Neal. It's nice, it had a nice run, but I know how much you love facts to back up our point. Son, I did a little research today. Rotten Tomatoes, which is the established movie review website that people go to, just so it's just I don't want to see bias.
It's technically higher on everything.
That's great.
But
They're
we'll
not
say
always right.
they're not always right.
They're not always right. However, and I never take one source. Roger Ebert, known movie critic.
Hey, let me pull a Mike Gundy here.
Roger Ebert listed it as one of the greatest American films. He gave Christmas Vacation 2 out of 4. A Marist poll in 2012 said it was the #1 holiday-themed Christmas movie in the country. I mean, these are facts.
On your facts, your so-called facts.
No, they're not facts. Be sure to
Those
clarify.
are opinions.
Those are opinions of different people.
Okay, fine. What do we have? We have polling. And it is not just, and as I mentioned to Bart this morning, there's only one movie that runs for 24 hours, and it's not Christmas Vacation.
Which that's a bad mistake by the part of somebody who works at TBS.
In your opinion, the rest of America loves Ralphie, loves the Pink Bunny suit.
We did take a straw poll around the office
We did do
yesterday
that.
at our Christmas
Yeah, we
luncheon,
did.
and Christmas Vacation won the poll.
The average age of the person in question that we polled was 18.
Well, that's not true.
Was it 19?
No, it was significantly older than that, Zach.
Yeah, significant.
So I think you're wrong.
I understand that. And I appreciate your right to think I'm wrong. However, the fact is, A Christmas Story is a better movie. It's an original movie. And Christmas Vacation was funny when it was Animal House, Caddyshack. It's the same jokes.
It is
It's
not.
the same joke.
What are you Do you watch movies?
National Lampoon had a run there in the late 70s when they did Caddyshack and they did Animal House, and then they just fell off a cliff. They did Vacation. Wow. That was okay. Well, Christmas Vacation was the third in the series, right?
Wow.
They were out of jokes by then.
Okay. Yeah. Great. 877-447-4040 is the T-Mobile listener line if you would like to weigh in on this conversation. Clay, you look like you have something to say.
Yeah, every time I see that movie, I worry that Chevy Chase's eyeballs are just going to pop out. I mean, it's like he's got his eyes bugged the whole time. It's like, when this is over,
Clark W. Griswold,
he's got to pour in some Visine. I know he does.
Michael is in Stuttgart on the T-Mobile listener line. Michael, what's up?
I bet Frank has a screensaver of Ben Shapiro on his cell phone. I mean, you missed your calling, pal. I mean, seriously, you should have been a forensic accountant for the IRS with this analytical mind. Just the facts, man. I'm telling you, I hadn't heard anything like it. Not that I don't respect it.
Are you talking about Zach, Michael?
Yeah, whoever you got in there with you. That's what I call him, Frank. That's how much respect I got for him.
I've been called worse today. I'll take it.
I'm sure you have. By his own mother.
Absolutely.
But no, hey, but Zach, no, in all seriousness, I know you like that satirical humor. That's just below your kind of your nose there, that Animal House humor, huh?
No, I love Animal House. I love Caddyshack. I don't like Christmas Vacation. It's not funny.
No, but you likened it to the same humor. You said, hey, it's kind of the same thing. It's
no, I said that the jokes that they used were funny the first time and the second time. But by the time you get to the fifth time, Christmas Vacation just wasn't funny.
Well, I think that's to you personally, and obviously you're speaking from your own perspective, but there's a reason it's timeless. There's a reason they show it all year and everybody watches. The unwashed masses, not you, Zach, but the unwashed masses, they laugh at the joke every time they hear it, especially like Cousin Eddie and the special little jokes they have in there. Everybody thinks it's funny, and I think it is. I mean, that's why it continues to go. That's why those shows are still on the air, what have you. Although I do respect your opinion.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, well,
I thought you and I would be like-minded on this.
No. I like a little bit of everything, man. A smorgasbord. I like satirical humor. I love it, but I love that stuff too. You get a good laugh out of that.
What's your favorite Christmas movie?
Bad Santa.
I love, Bad Santa. I mean, that's hilarity to me. And hey, Christmas Vacation's great as well. But I'm not into these themed movies or whatever. I don't sit around watching that kind of thing. I'm not
like Christmas Vacation. That would be a themed movie.
No, I agree with you. It is a themed movie, but I'm not big on it. I'm just saying I understand the humor and I can still laugh at it, but it's nothing I'm going to sit down and watch.
Okay.
Stephen A. Smith, provocateur, con man. We pulled the mask off today. I'd love to sit down there. I'd hand his ass to him. And I got to tell you something. You got to understand, there's guys that get paid to talk for a living. Guys, I make my living betting on what these guys talk about and what you talk about. I know Bart beat me in the pick'em contest, but if I said, Bart, you've got no income coming in anymore. You've got $5,000. I'm going to give you I'm going to give you $10,000. You still got your bills. Now, you got to make a living off this. You got to pay for everything you spend in life out of this, every emergency, every bill, and then you got to bet the money. And there's going to be some losses. Well, how long would you last? I mean, you'd be scared to make a bet. I mean, it'd be all on the line. This is real. We're way up in the air now. And that's what I do. So for this fraud to come on, and I think he had a woman on his mind or something, because there was definitely something on his mind. No, I'm serious. There was something on because you don't make that many. I mean, you could call him San Diego instead of Los Angeles. That happens. But, I mean, it was the litany of things. And I'm talking Hunter Henry hasn't even played. I mean, it's unbelievable. So definitely something on his mind. But the guy took a big hit in reputation today. I mean, something that probably will never be repaired because people will never forget. I mean, and they're lined up to jump on this guy anyway because the kind of personality he has. And he's not my cup of tea anyway. I did respect him, but I lost some respect for him today.
I think that's fair, Michael. I think that's completely fair because it was clear that he had no idea what he was talking about.
What did Max Kellerman jump on him about this, or did he give him a pass?
I have not seen.
I think everybody has.
Yeah, I have not seen the full clip. I know Kellerman corrected him on a couple of things. It was really the look on Teddy Bruschi's face that told the whole story. I know we can't convey that via audio, but the look on his face was the look of somebody reacting to somebody who is insane.
Yeah, and it's funny. The guy that had a massive stroke was the guy that picked this up and sitting there calling this guy out that's supposed to know it all, and, of course, he doesn't. I heard your last guest here about Chad Morris. These guys are reporters. It's just the facts, man. And I know some people's mind, they work like this. I know Zach says he's analytical thinker. There's nothing wrong with that. They want evidence. Bart, you're the same way. Your mind works the same way. And that's fine. But you've got to be able to see things and kind of put things together, in my opinion. That's kind of the way my mind works, and maybe that's the way I think this way or say this anyway.
It's called perspective.
There we go. That's a great word. Chad Morris. I mean, to give the guy a D- when he's got this kind of recruiting class, and you understand what he took over and how he had to marry, his system to the last one, and that wasn't never going to happen. And to the way the season shook out there, winning 2 games, not to be able to say anything positive or see anything in the future to kind of matriculate things out and say, but this is what's going to happen. He didn't say he's going to be more successful than the guy at Ole Miss or whatever. He said, it's a big year for him. So they really don't see anything. They can just tell you what's happened already, and that's safe to them, and that's why they're more reporters than analysts.
I totally get what you say. I also can understand where Adam Rittenberg's coming from because he's looking strictly at the on-the-field product and not the recruiting class. He's measuring these coaches based on how the teams did on the field, sure. and 2-10 is 2-10. There's no getting away from that.
No doubt about it, Bart. But you do have to. Bringing in the players is a big part of coaching, and
I
think
agree.
It speaks to the coach more so because to go 2-10 and have this kind of recruiting class, and I got to go ahead and correct McElroy the other day. He said Arkansas is getting these players because he's selling them on the ability to play. Well, there's always been ability to play at Arkansas. Let's not downplay what the truth is, and we have a very special man that's able to have connections, relationships with players like nobody that's ever come through here because of his ties in Texas, his personality, his discipline, and his leadership. So let's not say, well, they just got – well, there's playing time over there. There's always been. This guy's really special, and this recruiting class proves it. And when he gets them on the field, you'll really see proof. And I know Zach will like that. He needs the proof first, but it's coming, pal.
Hey, thanks, Michael.
Have a great day.
Yep, you too. 877-447-4040, the T-Mobile listener line. When we come back, we'll continue to take your calls. But I also want to get into a little bit of what Arkansas's future at quarterback looks like. There is a new graduate transfer on the market, a guy Chad Morris has recruited and coached. Is there anything to that? Would it be a good fit? We'll get into it next.
This is Sports Talk with Bo Mattingly, streaming live on sportandstory.com.
This holiday season, you're going to need a bigger stocking. That's because the perfect stocking stuffer for anyone on your list is a new Honda bike or ATV stuffed with awesome. Now's the time to give or get the ultimate gift at Heartland Honda during Honda's Gifts That Go sales event. Like a new CRFF dirt bike, they build confidence and create long-lasting memories. Our full lineup of CRFF models offers something for just about every age and size, from the beginner CRF 50F all the way to the larger CRF 230F. And right now, you can ride off on one with some of our best deals of the year. Plus, get up to $200 factory-to-dealer incentives on select models. Find the gifts that will knock their stockings off at Heartland Honda, exit 72 from I-49 just north of Cracker Barrel during Honda's Gifts That Go sales event happening right now. Parents need to consider a rider's age, size, ability, and maturity before allowing them to ride. Factory-to-dealer incentives are good with select new and unregistered models. See dealer for complete program details.
Life is better with basketball and with First Security. We have the know-how to assist with your needs, plus a local team you could count on. What's your better? Get there with us. First Security. Bank better. FSbank.com, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Your holiday guests deserve the best. Richard's Country Meat Market has everything you need for a delicious holiday season, especially the best meats in town. Delicious prime rib, tasty beef tenderloin, pork crown roast, Petit Jean hams, turducken, steaks, and roasts. Call Richard's today at 479-443-0000 or stop by in Fayetteville to place your order and see the many additional options for your holiday dinner or party. Richard's Country Meat Market, your home for the best meats in town.
This is Sports Talk with Bo Mattingly.
Are you surprised that Chad Morris is having a lot of success? Really almost record-breaking success. We'll see how he signs the class when it's all done, not only this early signing period, but in February. But from a commitment standpoint, I mean, he is borderline setting a record at Arkansas since we've been keeping track of recruiting rankings. Is that surprising?
feel like he had to. You know, it was one of those things like, I mean, they were, and when we talked to him, we did the Arkansas-Alabama game, and I love Chad. And I've known Chad for a really long time, and I think the world of him. I really do. I'm just so excited to see what he does with the program. He felt pretty good about some of the in-state talent at that time. He felt very good about their ability to attract quarterbacks and find some guys that are diamonds in the rough. Like Chad said, that the big reason why they were successful at SMU and anywhere else they've been before is that they really just trust the way his coaches evaluate talent. And I think they got ahead of the curve on a couple kids. And now those kids have kind of blown up. And since they were the first ones there, as a result, those kids are staying true to and being loyal to some of the guys that are on that Arkansas staff. So I think that's part of it, but I'm not shocked because right now you can sell optimism, you can sell hope, and you can absolutely sell early playing time. So those are three things that recruits kind of gravitate towards. Early playing time, probably more than anything else, considering they're undergoing a huge shift in philosophy. So basically everyone that goes in has a chance to potentially play as a freshman. That, coupled with the fact that, man, hey, we want you to help build something, like that intrigues me as a player. I remember when I was coming out of high school, man, I just wanted to help build something. I wanted to leave the program in better shape than when we inherited it. That was a big, big draw for me. So that kind of led me to Alabama in the mid-2000s, long before we kind of had gotten over the hump. So it's an exciting time, I think, for the fan base. And obviously, you can recruit well, and you have a chance, and you just got to develop and make sure that you recruit the right guys.
You are dialed into Sports Talk. Got something to say? Join the show by calling the T-Mobile listener line at 877-447-4040. Join America's best unlimited network, T-Mobile. Filling in for Bo today, here is Bart Pullman.
There's another potential quarterback transfer on the market now that Arkansas might want to take a look at, might be interested in. That's former now SMU quarterback Ben Hicks. Greg Tepper was on the show yesterday, covers college and high school football in the state of Texas for Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Here's what he had to say.
Ben Hicks was the guy that kind of handpicked a guy at SMU by Chad Morris coming out of the Waco area to be his quarterback. Ben Hicks has had a really up and down career. He's the all-time leading passer in SMU history, but he can be a bit careless with the ball. But he's obviously got a terrific relationship with Chad Morris. It would not surprise me at all if you were to see Chad Morris and Ben Hicks hook up once again in a graduate transfer situation.
Last year, when Hicks had Trey Quinn and Cortland Sutton, who are both now in the NFL, at receiver, Hicks threw for more than 3,500 yards, 33 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. This past season, without those guys and with a new head coach in Sonny Dykes, he threw for 2,500 yards, or almost 2,600 yards, 19 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. I imagine, Clay, that Chad Morris and the coaching staff, Joe Craddock, are looking at every possible way to get better across the board when it comes to this roster, and a transfer quarterback is still in play.
Yeah, and I think a senior transfer quarterback, that's the other aspect.
Right, graduate
transfer.
transfer.
It's not just a transfer. It is a guy that's a senior that understands the offense and has played in it, understands the coaches, knows what's going to be asked of him from the moment he steps in the door. And, you know, I really still have a lot of hope for Connor Nolan and John Stephen Jones and KJ Jefferson, but it's in even Ty Story, but there's a big difference in what this guy has been able to do. But having said that, the key will be how those young wide receivers develop around him, and they bring in those guys have to hit the ground running as well. Back to my senior aspect of this situation that Arkansas will be in. I can remember this like it was yesterday, in talking to Lou Holtz about a freshman quarterback, and he said the best thing about a freshman quarterback is someday they'll be a senior. In between, it may not work out so well, but it's you cannot trade anything for experience. And Ty Storey got that last year, and that's important. I'm not sure that he's as talented as Ben Hicks, though, and that's what this staff is probably judging this scenario right now. Will they be more talented? So these young quarterbacks, the guys that I mentioned earlier, so they can mature and you don't put too much on them right off the bat.
Which is why I've had a hard time with this argument, and we've seen something to this effect kind of pop up time and time again, whether it's on social media or whether it's been callers to this show. This is John on Twitter. Arkansas doesn't need a one-and-done quarterback. We have enough to choose from on the Hill already and an explosive recruit coming onto campus soon. And what I would continue to say is that at Arkansas right now, and really any time at Arkansas, if you have an opportunity to upgrade a position, you take it. Period. That's true of any college football team anywhere, and it should be especially true at Arkansas right now. Ben Hicks would be, as of today.
You want to keep the numbers intact too. You're losing some quarterbacks. And
right.
I mean, I don't think there's been anything on Dalton Hyatt yet, right?
Right.
But I suspect that's a guy that's weighing his options.
Sure.
You lose 2, you bring in 1. So I like the idea of having your numbers solid and your ability to run a practice and conduct your operation with enough quarterbacks. And it doesn't take but a couple of sprained ankles in the first game or, a hit here or there, and you're down to numbers. Being able to just run a practice.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Play a game.
Which is, Clay, the problem they had on the offensive line this year. I mean, and that's something we've talked about.
You just want to make sure your lines are the right length for competition.
Yeah, and Arkansas looks to be bettering itself along the offensive line with a couple of JUCO signees. I know they like the freshmen they're coming in, and they like the guys who redshirted this year.
I think Drew Vest, who is a walk-on to start out with, he'll probably get a scholarship at some point. That you put him in the mix, that's 6 new guys in the offensive line, and that's important. So your numbers are going to jump. You're still losing 3, bringing in 6. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some more walk-ons before it's all over. You've got to recruit depth in the offensive line, and it's so the quarterback won't get hit.
Yeah, and so the quarterback has time to find all these new receivers that are coming in downfield. And how quickly can the new receivers get up to speed? Because that's another area where Arkansas, and you can go through the roster and do this exercise, but receiver, another area where they just didn't have the guys to be able to do what Chad Morris wanted to do or wants to do. And the hope is that these new guys can come in and get up to speed pretty quick and give Arkansas that deep threat that they didn't have last year.
The second half of the season, everybody figured out you could just play man-to-man, man up on the receivers, and you throw those extra guys in the box. That made it tough on the offensive line. And I think that if you can get some separation on the outside where the safeties have got to start playing pass, well, then your running game improves. It's a big picture thing that went wrong with the offense.
You can get in here if you'd like to. The T-Mobile listener line, 877-447-4040. The holidays are here, and one thing on everyone's mind is finding the perfect gift for everyone in the family. It's something that can be really, really tough. At T-Mobile, they make finding the perfect gift for everyone in the family easy. Right now, when you join T-Mobile and trade in last year's phone, you can get unlimited with a Samsung Galaxy S9 for just $40 a month. So you can get unlimited somewhere else or unlimited and a phone for the same price at T-Mobile. Everyone in the family can enjoy the hottest new Samsung phone in their own way. Phones included is only at T-Mobile. 877-447-4040. The T-Mobile listener line. We will be taking your calls. And Saul has a new game for us when we come back.
This is Sports Talk with Bo Mattingly. Streaming live on sportandstory.com.
You probably haven't thought about how to act like a millionaire, because if you're like me, you aren't one. But the new Ultimate Million Scratch-Off game from the Arkansas Scholarship Lottery, it's going to make 4 people into instant millionaires, which means you need to be ready for important decisions, like how does a millionaire walk? Do I need a new nickname, a secret millionaire handshake, which car to take to work, or should I even show up? Hey, it's time to start thinking like a millionaire, Arkansas, because you could be millionairing soon. Call 1-800-522-4700 for Problem Gambling Helpline.
The holiday season is here, and T-Mobile is the perfect place to find the perfect gift, like the Samsung Galaxy S9. Right now, T-Mobile has some of the season's best deals on the hottest phones, which means there's never been a better time to get the Samsung Galaxy S9. But the holidays aren't going to last forever, and neither are these great deals. So don't miss your chance to get the perfect gift. Check out all the deals at T-Mobile.com or head to a T-Mobile store today.
This is Sports Talk with Bo Mattingly.
Greg McElroy, ESPN, SEC Network college football analyst with us. Dan Enos will reportedly replace Mike Locksley. This seems to be how Saban is doing things lately. You know, you get the bullpen ready. I mean, you know, and the continuity continues.
He had to have seen this coming, though. Like, yeah. I mean, it didn't. Like, maybe I'm giving Saban too much credit. But first of all, Enos isn't taking a job, you know, stepping down as a coordinator and, you know, checking his ego at the door, and then I'll just go coach quarterbacks, no problem. Unless he was told something in the interview process, because he was in hot demand. I mean, everyone wanted a piece of Dan Enos. He's really good. And I know it didn't work out real well at Arkansas, but he's really good when it comes to developing players. Like, I happen to think that Nick Saban saw the writing on the wall with Mike Locksley, the way he can recruit, the fact that he could potentially be a head coaching candidate sooner than later. So he had to have his ducks in a row and had to have an heir apparent. And it made a lot of sense because everyone that he's gone with from a coordinator hire, with the exception of Brian Dable, has been a hire from within in the last few years. So, I mean, Sarkisian was a hire from within. They had to completely abandon that ship, though, because they didn't like the direction that Lane Kiffin and Sarkisian were going. So they end up bringing in Dable, and Locksley was an analyst on that staff. He gets promoted. Enos is on the staff. He gets promoted. It feels, and on the defensive side, they've done that even more so. So I think Saban probably saw the writing on the wall and saw the potential in Mike Locksley and felt like he had to back him up with a legit coordinator behind him. So it's a great move for Enos. I'm happy for him because there's one thing we've learned, that if you're the coordinator at Alabama, you're going to be a head coach within 3 years. So I think that's encouraging for the future when it comes to his candidacy in the long term.
That'll be interesting for a guy who walked away from a head coaching job in Central Michigan because it didn't feel like he could win there, taking a coordinator job at Arkansas. Does Dan Enos come all the way back around and end up with a good head coaching job? All right, I'll get you out of here with this.
That's pretty remarkable foresight. I mean,
yeah.
That's really what he was thinking down the road. Like, you know, I'm going to walk away. And honestly, you can't make any money at the Group of 5, too. I think that's a struggle, too. So he got an increase in pay to go from head coach to coordinator in the SEC. Like, SEC is, you know, it's a legit league. I mean, it's understandable why guys would fly him.
He's in a good spot for sure. How about Malzahn? Now, Gus Malzahn going with a coordinator who's not going to call plays, and he's back to calling plays. And what kind of spot is he in?
I don't know. You tell me this. I like Gus. I've been around Gus quite a bit. I think he's a really good offensive mind. But I don't know how you can justify hiring a guy as your offensive coordinator that has 1 year of experience. Like, I feel like Gus wants to run his show, and he doesn't want anyone getting in the way of that show. Like, he doesn't want anyone interjecting. It's his way or the highway, and he surrounded himself with a couple of yes men, it feels like. And nothing against Dillingham. I don't know anything about him.
Right.
Like, everyone I've talked to and I've called is like, hey, what do you know about this Dillingham guy? He goes, I don't know him. Never heard of him. So, he might be the second coming, but he's certainly.
Well, he's not calling plays. I mean, they hired him not to call plays. I mean, you got to go down the ladder to hire a coordinator that's not going to call plays.
And Cody Burns is your other coordinator.
Passing coordinator.
Listed as the passing game coordinator. So, I mean, it just sounds like to me is Gus wants people that are going to, kiss the ring, and no one that's going to really upset the apple cart in that offensive staff room. But.
And now, the Ozark Outpost Casual Clothing and Footwear Hog Update.
Arkansas linebacker D. Walker arrested Wednesday on drug and gun charges. The university releasing a statement saying Walker is suspended indefinitely from the football team and they will continue to monitor the situation. Walker played in all 12 games this past season and had 17 tackles. SMU quarterback Ben Hicks announcing he will transfer. As a grad transfer, he can play right away, and many speculating he could come to Arkansas.
Ben Hicks was the guy that kind of handpicked guy at SMU by Chad Morris coming out of the Waco area to be his quarterback. Ben Hicks has had a really up and down career. He's the all-time leading passer in SMU history, but he can be a bit careless with the ball. But he's obviously got a terrific relationship with Chad Morris. It would not surprise me at all if you were to see Chad Morris and Ben Hicks hook up once again in a graduate transfer situation.
That was Dave Campbell's Texas Magazine writer, Greg Tepper. I'm Melissa Orange for the Pig Trail Nation, and that's your Hog Update.
Filling in for Bo today, here is Bart Bowman.
Thanks for listening to the Hog Update, brought to you by Ozark Sportsman Supply. They've got their inaugural All Fridays Matter sale happening this weekend at the Ozarks. They know that on payday, Friday, everybody's got to stretch the dollar, especially at Christmas time. So the sale this weekend will smash all their other Friday sales. They're repeating their amazing Black Friday deals this weekend. Big savings for you again on brands such as Columbia, Bandit, Under Armour, Southern Marsh, and so many more. Everything in both stores will be 10 to 70% off retail price, not to mention the most unique gift items that can be found only at the Ozarks. It's the biggest sale of the year, Ozark Sportsman Supply and Ozark Outpost, Highway 412 in Tawnytown. Let's go back to the phones, the T-Mobile listener line, 877-447-4040. Brent is in Stuttgart.
Yes, Bart and Clay. How are y'all? Hope you're getting ready for a great holiday season. Hello?
Bring it on.
All right. I have one question to y'all, and it's been worrying me to death. The question is, are we being sold a bill of goods by Chad Morris and his staff? I mean, I'm concerned. They had us all thinking we're going to get Kelly Bryant. But anybody with any kind of vision could see that Kelly Bryant wasn't coming to Arkansas. And the one thing that concerned me about the staff is they know no other thing but the offense they run. When we couldn't do what they wanted to do this year, we didn't adapt. We didn't try to change. And I just want to know.
Hey, Brent, let me take that. I see where you're headed. So, it's my opinion that the same players, it didn't work in the previous offense, a pro-style scheme. So, it didn't work. If you don't have the horses up front, and if there's anybody that should understand that, it is you. Your dad was a great offensive line coach, and if you can't block them, you can draw up lots of pretty plays, and they don't work. They don't work.
I understand.
There's not any. I mean, they adjusted and ran simpler stuff.
We are not going. Well, let me say this: we are not going to get any better till we get a quarterback. End of discussion. And I'd like to say that it'd be KJ Jefferson, but he's not going to be ready to play the first week of the season. Not coming in till summer. So, what are we going to do?
Well, I think you're looking at. I think that's why they wanted Kelly Bryant. But as far as, did they sell you a bill of goods? What did they tell you? No, they didn't say anything. They can't talk about recruits. It is just what you believed, right? They didn't say it.
I guess so, but we blew a gasket. We never got hammered down in the left lane this year. And
you cannot.
It was very disappointing.
So if you want to run fast, you can run fast, but you still got to block it.
You're right. And I'm not trying to argue with you.
And you've got to get it open. Now you have a right to be disappointed, but you ought to understand when they don't have the horses to run that offense. And they tried it in the spring, and he said, they didn't get any separation at wide receiver.
I mean, but I hear that we don't have. They say that
just keep building. They're going to bring in players.
The ball. How do you? If you're a receiver, how can the ball? Look it into your hands. That's all I'm trying to say. I mean, we need a whole new offense next year of a whole new 11 starters, probably, in my opinion. Except for Boyd. He's the only one that should be coming back.
I think Michael Woods is the guy that you'll see develop. Yeah, and I think you'll see. I think O'Grady will develop and continue to do some things at tight end. Yeah, I think that and I think there's probably some other wide receivers around there. I still have a lot of hope for Coylin Jackson.
Yeah, I do. But I had a question. This is just out of curiosity because the young man was quite the athlete in high school. How come they gave up on Gerard Barnes so fast?
Yeah, I think that he didn't. You saw him play quarterback. You never saw him play wide receiver.
I just saw him be an athlete.
Yeah. Well, you got to at some point you've got to flip the switch and become a wide receiver, and just didn't happen.
Okay. Well, thank you. Have a happy holiday.
Hey, you too, Brent. Thanks for the call. 877-447-4040, the T-Mobile listener line, if you want to get in here. We're going to go ahead and take a break, and then when we come back, Saul has a brand new, never-before-played game that he is going to debut for us here on Sports
Can't
Talk.
wait for the music.
This is Sports Talk with Bo Mattingly, streaming live on sportandstory.com.
Ahead to Gafford. How about a windmill? Let's put a little exclamation point on it.
Hog fans, it's officially time for Razorback basketball inside Bud Walton Arena. After 3 NCAA tournament appearances in the last 4 years, Mike Anderson and the Hogs are ready to make another postseason run. Arkansas will host Georgia Tech on Wednesday, December 19th at 8 p.m. You can purchase your tickets today by going to ArkansasRazorbacks.com or over the phone at 1-800-982-HOGS.
Fleet Center of Arkansas is hosting a toy drive benefiting Arkansas Children's Northwest now through December 16th. Bring in one toy valued at $25 and receive $500 off your down payment. Bring in 2 toys, receive $1,000 off. Fleet Center of Arkansas has huge savings on the highest quality vehicles of your choice and offers a full array of financing options to meet your needs. Stop by Fleet Center of Arkansas in Rogers off Hudson Road. Drop off a toy and find the right vehicle for the job.
What's your more? Maybe it's more early morning duck calls at your own private duck club. Whatever you'd like more of, Mega Millions from the Arkansas Scholarship Lottery can turn those dreams into reality. And the next drawing is for more than $260 million. So go to your local lottery retailer and get your ticket to more today. This is winning. Call 1-800-522-4700 for Problem Gambling Helpline.
Are you in the market for a new pool or spa? Seaside Pools and Spas has been constructing quality pools in the four-state area since 1967. It's your one-stop shop for chemicals, equipment, spas, and in-ground pools. With a service department like no other, Seaside Pools and Spas can also help you with all your pool or spa repair needs. Visit Seaside Pools and Spas today in Springdale, Bentonville, and Joplin, Missouri. Seaside Pools and Spas.
Life is better with football. And with First Security, we have the know-how to tackle your needs, plus a local team you can count on. What's your better? Get there with us. First Security. Bank better. FSbank.com, member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
This is Sports Talk with Bo Mattingly.
Your all's perspective.
I was just trying to stay alert. You know, I had a chance to grab it, misjudged it, mistimed it. You know, I couldn't get a hand on it.
And you guys obviously got off to a good start, but they made a good run there in the second half to get the lead. What was happening? Maybe for both y'all, what was happening when I think they had a 9-0 run to get the lead?
We wasn't connected like how we were initially. Like when they had their run, we wasn't connected defensively. It was kind of breaking us down. But throughout the game, we had our spots when we locked in. So they just had that little run. We couldn't recover from it.
And they had a better game than us offensively and defense. We didn't come out mentally prepared. So next time we will.
How tough was Bassey inside?
It ain't nothing. It wasn't. Me, Dan is, me personally, that's my personal. I feel like Dan is, way more physical than he was. But he's a good player, a great player. He's has a bright future. He has a good future ahead of him. So yeah.
Okay. They had a lot of threes. I guess especially Hollingsworth and Savage. Just how tough were they on the threes today?
We knew from the game plan. We knew that they were gonna, shoot it, from deep. Just get their shots on. We just wasn't connected how we were. But everything that we didn't do is fixable. We're gonna continue to work on that, get better each and every day. So we're gonna let this one hurt to me tonight and get back and get better.
You are dialed into Sports Talk. Got something to say? Join the show by calling the T-Mobile listener line at 877-447-4040. Join America's best unlimited network, T-Mobile. Filling in for Bo today, here is Bart Pullman.
Let's play a game. What do you say? Saul, what do you got for us?
Yeah, I got something new today, and we're calling it Who Said?
Who said?
Rats about Twitter.
If I sound a little bit pissed, you're right, I am.
He is the only one I've ever met that can handle my junk.
Yeah, so a couple of fun sound bites in the open there. Mm-hmm. This is Who Said. So okay. I'm gonna play some sound bites. They've been doctored, so you can't. The voices have been disguised.
So we're
gonna try. Yeah, a little bit. And then I'm going to have you guys try to guess who said it. The first one might be a little easy. Who gave this answer to this question?
How has your living room presence changed since back in the day?
I probably keep my shirt on most of the time.
I probably keep my shirt on most of the time. Okay? Who said that when asked about their living room presence when recruiting? Was it A, Dana Holgorsen, B, Ed Ogeron, C, Will Muschamp, or D, Mike Leach?
Zach, what do you?
Well, I know Ed Orgeron took his shirt off during a job interview, so I'm going to use that as a baseline and say it's B, Ed O.
Orgeron. Okay. Bart?
I, too, will go with Ed Orgeron. Clay?
I was hoping it would be Mike Leach, but y'all are probably right.
Everybody gets the first one. It was Ed Orgeron.
How has your living room presence changed since back in the day?
I probably keep my shirt on most of the time.
It's fun soundbite. Next, who said this when talking about learning about recruits? Here's the soundbite.
One of my favorite things to do is go to the lunchroom, ladies. So because everybody's going to go eat lunch, So when they come to that lunchroom, they'll tell you the truth too.
Okay, so
I'm saying that's Nick Saban.
Okay, who talks to the lunchroom ladies when learning about recruits? Is it A, Herm Edwards, B, Nick Saban, like Clay said, C, Jeremy Pruitt, or D, Dan Mullen?
Clay, who you got this time?
Nick Saban.
Okay, I'm going to go Dan Mullen on this one.
I don't think it was doctored. That's Jeremy Pruitt.
Zach got that.
One of my favorite things to do is go to the lunchroom, ladies. So because everybody's going to go eat lunch,
right?
So when they come through that lunchroom, they'll tell you the truth too.
I didn't take Jeremy Pruitt as somebody who would know where the lunchroom is.
Oh.
He's got to get his tomato juice.
Next, who said this?
I thought he was going to have some power tea.
Okay. Who said this when talking about their team?
To be quite honest with you, I thought I was going to come here and have a bunch of turds, and we don't.
I thought I was going to have a bunch of turds. We don't. Was it A, Chip Kelly, B, Scott Frost, C, Willie Taggart, or D, Herm Edwards? Clay, what do you think?
I mean, it just sounds like something Herm Edwards would say.
Okay. Bart?
Turds is a word from his time period.
Okay.
I'm going to go with C, Willie Taggart.
Willie Taggart for Bart.
That answer's wrong. I mean, they were terrible. That's Herm Edwards for sure.
No, it actually was Willie Taggart.
Really?
To be quite honest with you, I thought I was going to come here and have a bunch of turds, and we don't.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, you did, Willie.
Well,
They play like
Willie's not a
turds.
great talent evaluator.
Okay.
There's lots of flies on that team.
All right. Who said?
That'll do.
Flies.
Well,
that was good.
We're going to talk about turds.
That'll do.
That was good, Clay. Who said this when talking about the conference they're in?
This is no baloney cheese for me. I mean, this conference is a real football conference.
Was it A, Jimbo Fisher, B, Josh Heupel, C, Dino Babers, or D, Kevin Sumlin?
Zach, what do you got on
That's Sumlin.
Sumlin?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to say someone as well, but I want it to be Dino Babers, though.
So you're saying Sumlin, sticking with Sumlin? Okay, Bart?
I was leaning towards Sumlin, but I also feel like bologna cheese is something that Jimbo Fisher would say.
Okay.
And I'm going to go ahead and say, but I'm going to go with Sumlin. I'm going to go with Sumlin.
Okay,
Yeah.
so everybody picked Sumlin on this one. No, it was Dino.
This is no baloney cheese for me. I mean, this conference is a real football conference.
That's who I wanted it to be.
I know, you were closer, Clay. Next, talking music. Who said this?
The disco era, which was the worst era of music. I mean, it was horrible.
That was kind of tough to hear. He said the disco era was the worst era in music. Is it A, Dabo Swinney?
Well, first of all, that's just wrong.
Okay, you can disagree. B, Mike Gundy. C, Dana Holgerson. Or D, Mike Leach.
Clay.
Who think? Yeah,
I'm going to say Mike Leach.
Mike Leach.
Zach?
100% disagree with the statement, but it's Mike Leach.
I have to go with Mike Leach because I know that one of these is going to be Mike Leach.
Okay, yes, it was Mike Leach.
The disco era, which was the worst era of music. I mean, it was horrible.
Couldn't disagree more.
You guys all.
I mean, I had Leisure Suit. I had chain. I
know.
had black patent leather zippered boots.
Jeez.
I need a picture. I need a
We
photo
do need a
of
picture.
this.
They have a name for that.
I mean,
Okay, we're gonna okay, we're gonna move on. Move on to the last one.
Who brought Zach in here?
Okay,
I'm regretting the decision more by the minute.
Okay, this is a who said this after a win?
You know, it was a little like doing surgery with chainsaws out there for both sides.
That sounded like Disco Duck.
It did. It was like doing surgery with chainsaws for both sides out there. Was it A, Will Muschamp, B, Nick Saban, C, Tom Herman, or D, Mike Leach?
Zach.
I'm going to go Mike Leach again.
Okay. Clay.
I'm going to go Tom Herman.
Okay.
And I'm going to go Will Muschamp because I really hope it is Will Muschamp.
This one was kind of tricky because it is, again, Mike Leach.
You know, it was a little like doing surgery with chainsaws out there for both sides, I think.
It's just graphic. Graphic picture there. I think...
was that after the snow game?
It might have been. I think it was. I think Zach won.
I did.
Zach had the most, correct. Then it was Bart, and then Clay got last. There you go. That's Who Said.
Good job.
Good job, Saw.
Yeah,
Thanks, man.
excellent.
That was fun.
Excellent. I especially love. Can we get some more of those voices?
Yes,
like
we can
the
hear.
disguised voices. Is Keith Morrison on the case for Dateline yet? Do we know?
Might be.
I mean, that was no. I actually wanted you to play one of them again.
Oh, okay.
We're out of time now.
Sorry.
We'll do it next hour.
You are listening to Sports Talk, produced by Bart Pullman, directed by Sire Radler. Want the latest commentary, interviews, takes, and phone calls?
Anytime, anywhere.
Check out Sports Talk Primetime, Arkansas's premier sports talk podcast. Find it on iTunes or online at sportsandstory.com.
It's that time of year again. Mic'd Up with Razorback head coach Mike Anderson returns for another year at Sassy's Monday, November 5th. The first 6 shows will be held at Sassy's Barbecue and Grill off Weddington Drive in Fayetteville, and the following 6 return to the Red House in January. Come hang out with Mike Anderson and the Hog basketball team every Monday night starting at 7 o'clock. Enjoy Hog basketball and the best barbecue in the SEC. Mic'd Up with Mike starting November 5th at Sassy's Barbecue and Grill off Weddington Drive in Fayetteville. Eat, drink, and be sassy.
You can love where you live and play at an apartment community managed by Lindsay Management Company Incorporated. Affordable apartments with awesome amenities, including clubhouses, fitness centers, pools, tennis courts, and sparkling lakes with fountains at select locations. Many locations also provide business centers, game rooms, tanning beds, whirlpools, saunas, and resort-style pools. You can view rates, photos, and apply online today at lindsaymanagement.com.
What's your more? Maybe it's more early morning duck calls at your own private duck club. Whatever you'd like more of, Mega Millions from the Arkansas Scholarship Lottery can turn those dreams into reality. And the next drawing is for more than $260 million. So go to your local lottery retailer and get your ticket to more today. This is winning. Call 1-800-522-4700 for Problem Gambling Helpline.
Hi, Bo Mattingly here. There's nothing more frustrating than electrical problems. Breakers tripping, lights flickering, or problems with your home's electrical system. And it always seems to happen at the worst possible time. I say call Mr. Sparky, the company to call to get your electricity fixed right and right now. They have an impeccable record for delivering fast electric service, straightforward, upfront pricing, and a 100% satisfaction guarantee.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Life is better with football. And with First Security, we have the know-how to tackle your needs, plus a local team you can count on. What's your better? Get there with us. First Security. Bank better. FSbank.com, member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
This is Sports Talk with Bo Mattingly.
Came over for a little bit, just kind of what was going through that and what opened up for you then?
Sitting on the sideline knowing that the starting five was like kind of lacking on energy. My job was coming on the bench to come in to give energy, and that's what I wanted to do.
As far as just free throws, was it just kind of contagious today? Because obviously all, as a team, weren't shooting like you normally do.
There's just a mental thing. Just we're going to come up next time. We're going to get in practice tomorrow, and we're going to take it from there.
Good, AJ.
Guys, there were 2 flagrant fouls called in this game. Did you guys feel like it was getting chippy at any point?
You know, by the fact that, you know, we only had 2 referees, so, you know, they were doing the best they could do. So by the flagrant calls, I really don't. I'm not a referee. They kind of, you know, do their judgments on that. But, you know, by having 2 referees kind of made the game tough throughout the whole game. So.
Drew, Western Kentucky scores, I think, with 19 seconds left. Timeout. What's the plan coming out of the timeout, and what happened there?
You said when it's Kentucky's ball? Western Kentucky's ball. We was just stay connected defensively. We kind of knew what we was doing offensively, but we wanted to stay connected defensively and get a stop. And the guy Bassie hooked Dan, and Dan tried to tell it and hit the floor, and then I helped him and I left my man open. So they got the layup, and but all that's adjustable, fixable. So we just gonna have to let this one hurt till midnight. Just come back and get better.
But the play before that, you go down and all we got to do is defend. I don't know how, but we had a guy that fall, I don't know how, and they left the big guy wide open, and somebody came over to help, and now that Nelson gets a wide open layup. So that's a breakdown in your defense.
Western Kentucky controlled tempo both halves pretty much.
I thought for the most part they did. We had some spurts there in the second half, even when we got down. I thought early in the game we made some shots early on. The motion to come in playing home was there, but I thought they did. They did a good job of controlling tempo. And then when you don't make shots, obviously it's going to rely a lot on your defense. And like I said, I just thought we were a little sluggish, and I don't know if the Colorado State hangover coming from there. We shot the ball well and played well, and then it's a quick turnaround. But at the end of the day, they made more plays than we did. They had one more play that they made that we didn't.
Sills, did you feel the bench just wasn't up to what it's been?
They've been playing better. They've played much better. Though they didn't play well. And as I said, that's a big component of our basketball team. It is our bench guys coming in and bringing energy and bringing that defensive mindset. And so we didn't do that tonight. And so it's a learning curve that every game we play is going to be a big game. And teams going to come, whether we play at home or on the road, they're going to come and leave it out on the floor. And your want to has got to be much bigger and better than theirs. And I thought they wanted a little bit more than we did.
How'd you feel Sills did?
I know you're going to dig this.
Can you imagine, over the last couple of years, if the NCAA got tipped off to Arkansas cheating, you think they would just say, well, I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you for the call.
Didn't work.
I appreciate that.
They cheated and won 2 games.
We're going to look into that.
This
It's all dope here.
is
Answer me now.
No Way Sports Talk
We need to hire a batter coach up there.
Wow.
from the Fleet Center of Arkansas studios. Find the right vehicle for the job.
I'm speaking facts.
How about a little decorum in here on a work day?
Filling in for Bo today, here is Bart Pullman.
Hey, how y'all doing? Everybody good? Everybody having a good time? Having a good day?
Oh, yeah.
We're getting close to Christmas, which means people should be pretty happy. People should be in a good mood. Unless you're Zach. Zach, hates Christmas.
I don't hate
and
Christmas.
all things
It's like my 8th favorite holiday.
That's pretty far
That's
down
all
the
there
list.
is.
What's number one?
The day the kids go back to school in the summer. Oh. Number 2 is when they go back to school in January.
So these aren't holidays that are, these are just days that make your life easier?
No, I think if you ask every parent, they would tell you the exact same thing. The day the kids go back to school in August is a wonderful, beautiful day.
Clay, how do you feel about that?
Well, I think that's probably not the way the teachers looked at it.
No, now the teacher's totally different.
So there's teachers. So my wife was a teacher, and she never looked at it that way.
No, that's they're coming at you at that point.
So I did. That meant not only did she go back to work, that the kids were gone, and the house was mine.
See, there you go. It's a beautiful day.
Which has always been my office. I sit in my study to write. So it's been interesting because my wife's now fully retired and she's been home, and I've I've worked sometimes at the with my laptop at the kitchen table, and she goes, "You must go to your study."
Wow.
I mean, I'm not going to walk around here quiet because that's what I'm used to, having, just total quiet.
No longer.
Yeah, I got onto her one day. She was watching The View.
Oh. Tell us, Clay. Tell us your thoughts on The View.
So when I told her what my thoughts were on The View, she said they matched what she thought of this radio program.
Wow. Okay.
She said it's no different.
Wow. Okay.
The difference is it's a bunch of guys sitting around talking about nothing. And she said, I said that's what The View was, a bunch of gals sitting around talking about nothing.
I think those are fair points.
So the vote was 1-1, and she won.
Okay. Well, why don't we talk about something? Greg McElroy was on the show earlier this week, and Clay, I'm not sure if you've heard this yet. I want to play it for you. I want to get your take on it, get Zach's take on it.
Yep.
Since Texas A&M got in the league, the Arkansas job is the toughest in the SEC. And among the toughest in the Power Five. I really believe that, because Arkansas used to have a ticket to all the players in the state of Texas, and not even just players, too, like just students. Like students that wanted a Southeastern Conference experience could go from Texas to the Dallas-Fort Worth area to Arkansas and pay in-state tuition and have that SEC experience. Like all my friends are Arkansas fans, every single one of them. So it's been a challenge since Texas A&M got in the league, because now kids can say, well, I'll just stay in state and I'll have that same experience and I'll get to play for a state school that I'm proud of, and I'll be able to contend, hopefully, for in the nicest facilities in college football for an SEC championship someday.
Yeah, he's just totally wrong. First of all, it didn't change the number of players that Texas A&M or Texas could take. And when you consider there's several hundred top football players in the state of Texas. So he doesn't get it. He doesn't understand. It didn't change the number of Metro Dallas area kids that were coming to the state to the University of Arkansas. You don't just get your pick. Oh, well, I think I'll just go to the University of Texas if you're a student. I go to Texas A&M. It is not easy to get into those schools.
No, they have very high academic standards.
So they don't,
public institutions.
You don't just say I'm going to go there. And so I don't think he's got any grasp of what the situation is. What happened is Arkansas fell in their ability to recruit athletes all over, not just Texas. They didn't try. I mean, it's so he doesn't understand that Arkansas once was in the Southwest Conference and recruited Texas, even though they were only played 3 or 4 games in the state of Texas a year. I mean, it's Arkansas can and still will recruit Texas. You think Dave Van Horn hasn't recruited Texas in the last 5 years when Texas A&M has been rolling in baseball? Go look at his record. And you might also check that he was 3-0 against University of Texas last year. I don't think,
including an absolute whooping in the College World Series.
I do not think that University of Texas wants to continue to play Arkansas in baseball. We'll see how that works out. Just hide and watch.
Well, I think we know how Clay feels.
It kind of does my heart good to see Texas football, Texas basketball, Texas baseball suck. I'm going to write about the memories of,
Zach has not heard that before.
The memories of 2018 for me. Mm-hmm. There's one 3-hour memory.
What did it happen in Omaha?
It's 1 inning. It's 3 hours of putting
it on Texas.
Yeah. So
there's not a Razorback fan around who did not enjoy that. Yeah.
14 guys batted in the College World Series in 1 inning. So those guys, those tea sippers sit over there and ate their sandwiches. They brought in plates of food. When they came back out, they were full of something.
I do.
So this will be my column on 2018. And then there's Matt Cronin. I loved all this stuff about student athletes are not to do the downward hook'ems. Right after Cronin came in for the save, he walked off the mound and looked right into the Texas dugout, and they're all on the top rail. And you know what he gave them? Boom! Downward hook'em. That picture, we'll run it again.
Let's go ahead and pull that video, Saul, for the show. We can turn.
You want it one more time?
We can turn that into a GIF. Clay, just dropping the hammer there.
Yeah,
it'd be great.
We will.
It'd be great. Pete, get on that. Thanks. Appreciate you. Good work, Pete. Yeah. I've also noticed
that was my Matt Cronin
kind of an
impersonation.
Inside baseball talk here.
Yeah.
For those of you who are streaming the show via YouTube or via Periscope on Twitter, is that
I don't even know what Periscope is.
I have to be. I talk with my hands a little bit more than Bo does, and what I've noticed a couple of times today is when I've done that, my hands have gone right in front of the shot of Clay.
We do it. The camera is right there.
So I have to be careful with this camera here that I'm not blocking out Clay. Yeah, right.
I mean, you can block him out if you want.
Yeah,
Bart, you do that one more time, I'm coming over here. I'm going to throw you down. Boom! Right there on the carpet.
877-447-4040 is the T-Mobile listener line if you want to get in here. I do think there is some point about Arkansas being one of the tougher jobs in the SEC. Not the toughest, because I still think that Mississippi State is a tougher job. I still think Ole Miss is a tougher job. Obviously, Vanderbilt is a tougher job. Kentucky is a tougher job than Arkansas. Now, if you weigh fan expectations according to how well a program's doing, then maybe that takes something into account. But I had this stat yesterday, Clay. Last 100 years of college football, Arkansas is 19th in wins, tied for 19th with Miami in wins in the last 100 years of college football. And that's pretty good. That's, that I would say that's really good.
Average would be in the top 20 then. Yep.
7th in the SEC. 7th among SEC teams, though.
Yeah, and I understand this, but I will tell you that Arkansas won track championships since they've been in the SEC. We'll win those again. They've won the national championship in basketball since moving to the SEC. They've finished second at the College World Series since coming to the SEC, and that's the toughest baseball conference that there is. The men's golf team has finished second. The women's golf team has had a long run of being number one in the last 3 years and will contend. I think both of them could contend at the NCAA championships. We'll be at the Blessings, in 2019, next spring. I just think you just got to get the right coach. I mean, it's, John McDonald. I mean, it's like you're talking about great coaches, but it can be done. And if it's the right coach, but the SEC's tough. And I'll never forget sitting at the Board of Trustees meeting when Roy Kramer was there and Arkansas, officially became a member of the SEC. And I'm sitting with my dad, and he said, "This is like playing Texas every week." I mean, it's you look around and everybody tries. And there were times in the Southwest Conference when you were painfully aware that there were some schools not trying. They didn't try in every sport. They do now, and $40 million from the SEC network allows everybody to try. So it's tough, but that's what makes it fun. And that's what you want. You want, when you win, you know that you've done something. And I don't see any reason to walk away from the SEC. And is it tough? And there, in football, you've got 7, tough opponents, as far as in your division. But it can be done, and it takes coaching and it takes recruiting. But I think that we've seen with what Chad Morris has done in this recruiting class that you can attract top talent to the University of Arkansas.
Zach, as someone who is more of an outsider to SEC country, what's your take on Arkansas and the job in terms of how difficult or not difficult it is.
I'll use a correlation. I was in school when Nolan had it going in the early 90s. Once Chad Morris finds his foothold, wherever that recruiting is, whether it's the Metroplex, whether it's, East Texas, wherever it winds up being, Nolan could walk into the Metroplex and get whoever he wanted. He could go into Memphis and get who he wanted. He could go to Tulsa and get who he wanted. Once Chad Morris establishes that foothold and he can go in and get, 3 out of the top 20 players in an area, then that starts to build and it starts to compound on top of each other. And once he does that, you'll see players rolling in. Today, and I talked to a number of high school players, top flight high school players. Location is probably 3rd on their list. Playing time's number 1. 2 is fit and culture. And then 3 is the proximity to home. That sort of lends it in. I had a long conversation with Connor Nolan about this. Connor had options, but one of the things that he talked about was scheme, culture, fit. And that's the kind of thing. Once Chad Morris sticks his foot in the ground, stakes his flag, you're going to see players start rolling in. And it's not that hard to recruit here. It really isn't. The facilities are here. They're as good as any in the conference. It's not that hard to. You just got to get the kids here. And Chad Morris is a heck of a salesman. I sat in his office, listened to him talk for 20 minutes, and I was sold. I would have signed, if he'd thrown something in front of me, I would have signed it right there. He'll do it. It's just going to take some time.
The intensity of the recruiting machine that he's put in place at Arkansas is like nothing that's ever been in those football offices. Now, I think Frank Broyles was a dynamite recruiter, and he had great staff members, and there was attention to detail in recruiting. But it has changed. It has changed here. It is far different. And he'll say things like, you don't have a bad day in recruiting. If you do, you won't be here. You will not be here. I spent a good bit of time with Paula Morris, Chad's wife, this week, and she explained her role in recruiting. And it's intensive. She said, I had no idea when Chad got into college what recruiting was going to be like. And he says, I figured it out. And the wives are part of it. And he can be sitting at home and he's talking with FaceTiming a player, and he says, Miss Paula wants to talk. And he'll hand the phone to her. And when they roll in, they run to her and hug her in the recruiting room. I know because I've heard people that have been there and said that. So it is a family deal, and it is what he says it is, and it's the same way that they did it at Clemson. The same way. It's the same model, and it's working at Clemson. It'll work here too. Clemson's not a whole lot different if you want to go figure out where it is in the state of South Carolina. Yeah. It's in the hill country.
Any of the 4 teams in the playoff. What is South Bend, Tuscaloosa, Clemson, and I'm blanking out on the 4th one.
Norman?
Yeah, thank you. That's why I was blanking out on it. But you tell me what those 4 towns have that we don't have here.
Well, Norman is
from a facility standpoint
closer to Texas. Alabama is closer to Georgia.
From a facility standpoint is what I'm talking about. What don't we have here that those 4 towns have? You've been to South Bend. There's nothing in South Bend.
There's not a ton. There's not a ton there.
There's nothing there.
Norman is just outside of Oklahoma City, so there's a major metropolitan area right there. But no, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm not real high on Oklahoma City.
Yeah, well, neither am I. I think it's a quite terrible place.
But I think Clay's right. The closest thing you can draw is Clemson. There's nothing in Clemson, South Carolina. You get the right guy with the right sales pitch and the right staff, and they will come.
We got to hit a break, but we are open to take your calls. 877-447-4040 is the T-Mobile listener line if you want to get in here. We're brought to you by Premier Dermatology. Guys, taking care of your skin is important, and Premier Dermatology can help. They offer all things skin for all of Arkansas, offering general, surgical, and cosmetic dermatology, plus a full-service medical spa, skin experts to care for your skin and pamper it too. Premier Dermatology's medical team treats all conditions of the skin, from acne and eczema to psoriasis and skin cancer, and they offer the latest cosmetic treatments for improving fine lines and wrinkles, skin tone and texture, and even unwanted body fat. You can look your best and feel your best with Premier Dermatology. Locations in Fayetteville, Bentonville, and Bella Vista. You can find them online at premierderm.net.
This is Sports Talk with Bo Mattingly. Streaming live on sportandstory.com.
What's your more? Maybe it's more early morning duck calls at your own private duck club. Whatever you'd like more of, Mega Millions from the Arkansas Scholarship Lottery can turn those dreams into reality. And the next drawing is for more than $260 million. So go to your local lottery retailer and get your ticket to more today. This is winning. Call 1-800-522-4700 for Problem Gambling Helpline.
Your holiday guests deserve the best. Richard's Country Meat Market has everything you need for a delicious holiday season, especially the best meats in town. Delicious prime rib, tasty beef tenderloin, pork crown roast, Petit Jean hams, turducken, steaks, and roasts. Call Richard's today at 479-443-0000 or stop by in Fayetteville to place your order and see the many additional options for your holiday dinner or party. Richard's Country Meat Market, your home for the best meats in town.
Hi, Bo Mattingly here. There's nothing more frustrating than electrical problems. Breakers tripping, lights flickering, or problems with your home's electrical system. And it always seems to happen at the worst possible time. I say call Mr. Sparky, the company to call to get your electricity fixed right and right now. They have an impeccable record for delivering fast electric service, straightforward, upfront pricing, and a 100% satisfaction guarantee.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Are you in the market for a new pool or spa? Seaside Pools and Spas has been constructing quality pools in the four-state area since 1967. It's your one-stop shop for chemicals, equipment, spas, and in-ground pools. With a service department like no other, Seaside Pools and Spas can also help you with all your pool or spa repair needs. Visit Seaside Pools and Spas today in Springdale, Bentonville, and Joplin, Missouri. Seaside Pools and Spas.
This is Sports Talk with Bo Mattingly.
Greg McElroy joining us on the First Security Bank Hotline. Former Alabama and NFL quarterback, now ESPN college football analyst, and you can catch him mornings on ESPNU Radio. Greg, great to have you on, man. Thanks for making time for us.
Yeah, you got it, Bo. How you doing, brother?
I'm well, and you were on a topic today that we talk about fairly often here, which is how difficult the Arkansas job can be. I know it's asking you to repeat yourself a little, but you guys were on the topic of difficult jobs today. Where is Arkansas on that list?
It's up there, man. The one thing that I would say about Arkansas, though, is that the fans, albeit, yeah, they want to win, they're reasonable about their expectations. So, like, I would put Arkansas not in the same sense as like a Kansas State. We got on the topic today because Kansas State hired Chris Kleiman, from North Dakota State, and I'm like, man, if you could take a job, you're at North Dakota State, and you're going 65-5 over the last 2 years, you're just stepping into a role that's nearly impossible. So that's kind of how we got into the rabbit hole of most difficult jobs. And Arkansas came up, and I've felt this way for a while since Texas A&M got in the league. The Arkansas job is the toughest in the SEC and among the toughest in the Power 5. I really believe that because Arkansas used to have a ticket to all the players in the state of Texas, and not even just players, too, like just students. Like students that wanted a Southeastern Conference experience could go from Texas to the Dallas-Fort Worth area to Arkansas and pay in-state tuition and have that SEC experience. Like all my friends are Arkansas fans, every single one of them. So it's been a challenge since Texas A&M got in the league because now kids can say, well, I'll just stay in state and I'll have that same experience and I'll get to play for a state school that I'm proud of, and I'll be able to contend, hopefully, in the nicest facilities in college football for an SEC championship someday. So I think that A&M made the Arkansas job exponentially more difficult.
Dialed into Sports Talk
Got something to say? Join the show by calling the T-Mobile listener line at 877-447-4040. Join America's best unlimited network, T-Mobile. Filling in for Bo today, here is Bart Pullman.
Larry is in Rogers on the T-Mobile listener line. Larry, go ahead.
Hey, guys, I enjoy your show a lot. I've got a probably different take on things, and I don't mean to be so negative about everything. But after the Bobby Petrino fiasco, John L. Smith, and Brett Bielema era, my expectations for this team were a lot better than what they were this year, and I get it. I mean, they're having to learn a whole new style of offense, and like Clay alluded to earlier, they didn't do that great last year under the previous coach's style. So, but I just don't. I just do not believe Chad Morris is the guy, and this is why. There's a world of difference between coaching at SMU and stepping on the big stage of the Southeast Conference, especially the West Division, with all the teams in there, the Bamas, the LSU, and all those guys. And I just don't believe that Chad Morris is going to get it done, because even if you get 3, 4, and 5-star recruits in here, you've got to have coaches that can coach to that level, and I just didn't see that this season. And I appreciate you getting your show. I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and I'll back out and let you all talk.
Hey, thanks for the call, Larry. I disagree with the fact that Chad Morris can't have success at Arkansas because he coached at SMU. I mean, most coaches start at a smaller school. Nick Saban, his first head coaching job was at Toledo. And he's done okay for himself. And if you go through the list of college football, Urban Meyer started at Utah before Utah was in the Pac-12. They were in the Mountain West.
I started at Bowling Green.
Or Bowling Green, yes, I'm sorry, and then went to Utah. Now, look, there are guys who don't do that. Kirby Smart is the latest example. His first head coaching job is Georgia. Bob Stoops' first head coaching job was Oklahoma. Dabo Swinney's first coaching job was Clemson. But just because you do it one way or the other, Clay, doesn't mean you're going to be successful or not.
I trust Terry Don Phillips and know him really well, and his judgment on Chad Morris is off the charts. Spent a lot of time with him at Clemson. I think Chad Morris is going to be fine. I think Joe Craddock will be fine as offensive coordinator. I know people didn't see it, and it just was not the right circumstances last year. And I think as they bring more talent, and it's so much about ability in this league. It is a personnel league, and if you don't have it, it is not going to look good. I think John Chavis will be fine on defense, and they're bringing in top-notch defensive players. And I think that offensive line and defensive line were at low ebb last year. And most people, when they watch a football game, they're watching the play calls, they're watching the ball handling, they're watching things that happen in the backfield. You really need to go back and watch offense and defensive line play to understand if that team is going to be successful or not. And early in the year, when I saw what was happening as far as getting whipped up front, you just knew that it wasn't going to be a good year. And it was the same situation as with the linemen from the previous year. And I don't care what offense or defensive scheme you run. If you're losing up front, if you cannot control the line of scrimmage, I mean, there's 22 guys out there, and we routinely watch everybody but the linemen. If you watch the linemen, you'll know what's happening as far as who's going to win the game and who's not.
Does anybody else need to say anything more? Because I think Clay just told us. That was speaking the truth, as we like to say, Clay.
And I think that you had to start over there, and I think that it's in. I think there are some raw pieces that played in some situations last year that will develop. And I really like Noah Gatlin as an offensive tackle, but he played before it was time. Didn't have the strength to really hold the point. But he is a guy that is a dynamo, plays to pass the whistle. And that's what everybody says about him. But he needs to be in the weight room, and that's where he's at right now. I really had a lot of hope for Dylan Hayes at center. He was not able to play, had a back injury, had to give up the game. But he's a guy that played till past the whistle. They called him the Tasmanian Devil. He wasn't able to play center. And I mean, everything shifted during the year at center. It was not a solid position. If you're not strong up the middle at quarterback, center, middle linebacker, safety, and it's just like you build a baseball team. And they weren't. And, I mean, they were in certain areas. I think Scooter Harris gives you a base of a strong player at middle linebacker, but you better be strong all through those areas. And they weren't last year. And I don't care. You can't dream up plays that work without winning the line of scrimmage. It just doesn't happen. And I mean, it's and I don't care what level of football. If it's Pee Wee football, if you're not winning at the line of scrimmage inside, then it's not going to happen.
Great stuff, Clay. When we come back, we're going to shift gears a little bit and get a look at Razorback basketball coming off a loss to Western Kentucky. Jimmy Dykes, ESPN college basketball analyst, is going to join us here at the Fleet Center studios. Fleet Center of Arkansas is your number one source for all your commercial truck needs. And now through December 16th, Fleet Center is hosting a toy drive benefiting Arkansas Children's Hospital. You can bring a toy with a value of $25 and receive $500 toward your down payment. Bring 2 toys to receive $1,000 down. Stop by Fleet Center of Arkansas and Rogers off Hudson Road and find the right pre-owned vehicle for the job. For more information, you can call 479-418-6304, and you can browse their inventory online at FleetCenterLLC.com.
This is Sports Talk with Bo Mattingly. Streaming live on SportandStory.com.
Gentlemen, when it comes to your health, there are numbers every man needs to know. Do you know your numbers? I know mine. I went to the Low T Center. They make it quick and easy to get all your levels checked. It's even covered by most health insurance. If you've been feeling tired and grumpy, have noticed weight gain and a loss of muscle mass, you need to get your levels checked. Low T Center physicians specialize in men's health and are reinventing men's health care. Call 479-439-9485. That's 479-439-9485. Or go to lowtcenter.com. Do you enjoy golf? Come live at a Links apartment community and love where you live and play. You get free golf privileges, a resort-style pool, great fitness center, and a whole lot more. Our 9-hole courses offer you challenging and quality golf right outside your front door. All that you need and want, we have. View rates, photos, and apply online today. Or check out a complete list of locations by visiting lindsaymanagement.com. That's lindsaymanagement.com.
This is Sports Talk with Bo Mattingly.
Greg McElroy, ESPN SEC Network college football analyst, and here at mornings on ESPNU Radio. When you watch the Heisman Trophy ceremony play out and Kyler Murray wins it and Tua comes in second after, it looked like it was in his grasp much of the season. Do you think this came down to the last weekend of the season, the SEC championship game, Big 12 championship game?
I think it's a combination of a lot of factors. The SEC championship game is obviously a significant one. I really believe that had Tua gone out and lit it up against Georgia, he probably would have won the award. But then again, I mean, I don't think that many people are going to be prisoners in the moment. I would hope that the voters would look at the entire body of work and make their determination by doing other things. I think there's a few things. One, Kyler's a runner. And when you're a runner and you can create highlight reel plays, right now there's too many voters, Bo. It's ridiculous how many people have votes that are unworthy of having votes.
Agreed.
Fanboys, if you will. For instance, Johnny Tuscaloosa, who's on a local radio show, who literally all he does is tweet Auburn jokes all day long, and his Twitter profile says Heisman voter. Like, I mean, it's like, what?
I brought this up yesterday. I feel like the system's antiquated. I feel like we need to sort of revise how we vote on the Heisman. If you take the College Football Playoff Committee as an example, I'm not saying it needs to be exactly the same, but this is it's if we're going to continue to hold it in such high prestige, I feel like we might want to change how and make sure that the people analyzing all the data know how to analyze the data.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of fanboys, Bo, because right now it's all about regional representation. Now we got to make sure we get enough people from the Southeast and the Midwest. Like, no one cares anymore. It's not a regional sport anymore. It's a national sport. Like, times have changed. It's time for the Heisman voting process to change alongside it. It's ridiculous. Like, we're stuck in the 1970s when it comes to voting for the Heisman Trophy, and honestly, it's absurd. I mean, so the voting issues aside, I think it's become a stat-based award and an award that is handed out because of highlights. And honestly, Baker Mayfield made a lot of highlight reel plays, but what really started to make me feel this way is when Lamar Jackson won the Heisman. Like, don't get me wrong, Lamar was a sensation. But if you look at the plays that made you say, wow, I mean, Lamar had more of those than Deshaun Watson or anyone else that season. Like, if you just stay in the pocket and throw a seed, no one's saying, wow, except for quarterbacks. Like, when you run around and make a million guys miss, they're falling down and you're running in circles and you're doing things, you're running around like crazy, that makes people's jaw drop. So I think it's become a highlight-based award, man. If you are heavily favored in the highlights on ESPN, if you play in the noon game, then your highlights are seen between the games. You're seen at the halftime of the 4 o'clock game, then you're seen at the end of the 4 o'clock game, then you're seen at the halftime of the primetime game. It's like, it's a highlight-based award because we have people that have responsibilities at a stadium on game day that are responsible for covering one team.
And now, the Ozark Sportsman Supply Hog Update.
Arkansas linebacker D. Walker arrested Wednesday on drug and gun charges. The university releasing a statement saying Walker is suspended indefinitely from the football team and they will continue to monitor the situation. Walker played in all 12 games this past season and had 17 tackles. On the hardwood, Arkansas prepare ahead to Little Rock. Former Ole Miss head coach and current SEC analyst Andy Kennedy is impressed with what he's seen from freshman Isaiah Joe.
I think it jumps off the page at me. I had never seen Isaiah Joe. I'd never heard his name. I didn't know anything about him. Man, that kid can play. Really, really impressed with his ability to make shots. Sometimes guys just have it. He's just got a poise to his game that typically you don't see for a freshman in his first month and a half of the season.
The freshman from Fort Smith is averaging 16.4 points per game. It's 33 three-pointers through 8 games. Tip-off between Arkansas and UTSA Saturday at 7 p.m. I'm Melissa Orange for the Pig Trail Nation, and that's your Hog Update.
Filling in for Bo today, here is Bart Bowman.
Thanks for listening to the Hog Update, brought to you by Ozark Sportsman Supply, where they're having their inaugural All Fridays Matter sale this weekend only at the Ozarks. They know that on Friday, payday, everybody's got to stretch the dollar, especially at Christmas time. So the sale this weekend is going to smash all their other Friday sales. They're repeating amazing Black Friday savings this weekend. Big savings on brands you love, like Banded, Columbia, Under Armour, Fayette Chill, and more. Everything will be 10 to 70% off, and they've got great gifts you can find only at the Ozarks, Ozark Sportsman Supply, and Ozark Outpost on Highway 412 in Taneytown. Let's go to the First Security Hotline and bring in our friend Jimmy Dykes, ESPN college basketball analyst, and talk some hoops. Jimmy, how are you?
Hey, Bart, I'm great, man. How are you?
Doing great. can't complain. Holding down the fort here while Bo is out Ubering around Fayetteville. You never know. You might if you call an Uber tonight, he might be your guy.
Well, Christmas holidays, you got to do what you got to do to buy presents.
Absolutely, got to make a little extra scratch. He gave all his money to me when he started letting me sit in this chair sometimes. And so now he's got to make it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh man, hey, so Jimmy, Arkansas loses to Western Kentucky, and one of the things that stood out to me about them in both their losses, the 2-point loss to Texas and the loss at Western Kentucky, is that they shot less than 60% from the free throw line in both those games. And on the season, they're shooting less than 63%. Now, if you look at all their other advanced metrics and everything, it profiles as a team that's really good, maybe a top 25 team. But free throws are keeping them down right now. When you're coaching a team and you just watch your guys miss free throw after free throw, how frustrating is that?
Yeah, it's tough. It's Arkansas is so close to being undefeated right now, and you go back and watch both of those losses. You can. I've always said the game sometimes is really simple, Bart. Just go back and look at the game, and did you make your layups and did you make your free throws? And Arkansas missed enough in both of those games that they could very well be unbeaten, but they're not. I was really surprised that they lost to Western Kentucky. And they're missing free throws, obviously, a 1-point game. That's a huge part of it. But I guess I was surprised because Western Kentucky, they came in that game. They lost 3 out of the last 4. Just 4 days prior to the Arkansas game, I think they lost. I know they lost at Missouri State, a team that's 4-5 on the year, and nothing really pointed towards Arkansas losing that game, as well as Arkansas was playing and how Western Kentucky had been playing. I think we talked about it last week. I really thought Arkansas had a great chance to go into conference play with just 1 loss, looking at their schedule. And but the Bassey kid, as you guys saw, I was doing a game somewhere else that day, but he's a pro, and he went toe to toe with Gafford and probably won the battle head to head. You look at the numbers that he put up in the minutes that he was on the floor. So the good news for Arkansas is that they're still, I think, a really good team. Like I think it's unusual that they allowed Western Kentucky to shoot 50% from the floor in that game on their home floor at Bud Walton. Like, that's not the Arkansas defense that's been there all season long. And they've been holding opponents to 37, 38% for the year, and I expect them to get back to doing that. So, all is not lost at all. I think they missed a great opportunity, though, because they're just better. They're better than the teams right now I think they have coming up on their schedule between now and conference play. Georgia Tech will be a test. I had them early against Tennessee, and they're not a great team. They're going to finish somewhere probably in the bottom half of the ACC, 8th, 9th, somewhere in there. But they're good enough to come in and win. But Arkansas is going to be favored in that game. So if you're Mike, you're a little frustrated about the missed free throws. Especially when Gafford is, he's getting there a lot. He's getting there 6-7 times a game. He's still only at 60%. Then you drop down below that. Guys like Bailey. Bailey's getting there 4 or 5 times a game. He's 58%. So, but that can turn around for him. It can turn around for him. They're still a good team, but the SEC it's no joke, and they're going to be in a lot of close games, like a lot of teams in the SEC. And free throw shooting will determine. It can probably determine 3 or 4 games over the course of a conference season.
Jimmy, is this just part of Arkansas being so young? I'm talking about the ups and downs. Is that just going to be a part of the season for the Razorbacks? That they're going to play up to a really high level at times, and then there might be times where they don't.
Well, I think that's true with all young teams. Bailey is young in terms of minutes that he's actually played. Gafford's played a ton of minutes for a year and a half in college. Harris is, an older kid than a first-year player at Arkansas because of his year at New Mexico State, and he redshirted. Jones has, 40 college games under his belt, 30 of them are in junior college ball, but that's a young team, and they're going to, sometimes you just wonder about a young team, how do they handle a loss? Well, they handled that Texas loss really well. They went out and won 6 games in a row. And then now you have to figure out how they're going to handle this next loss. So I think they will, coming off of semester exams like they are. They're better than UT San Antonio, who's, I don't know, they're 2-6, 3-6 on the year. They're just not good enough to beat Arkansas down in Little Rock. So, but that's just kind of where that program is right now when you lose guys like they've lost. But, man, those young kids are good. I'm still really impressed with Joe as a shooter, as a player. Mason Jones was a really good pickup for them as another, plus 44% three-point shooter. So they're going to be fine, but you can't let an opponent come into your home floor and make half of their shots and expect to win. You can't do that. And I'm sure Mike's been drilling them on defense this week.
Jimmy Dykes, our guest on the First Security Bank hotline. Clay Henry in here with me in studio.
Jimmy, I'm interested to hear your take on this because sometimes, you wonder how a team's going to handle a loss, but you also wonder how they're going to handle a victory. And the win at Colorado State, and listening to Mike, he said that his team played like they were full the next game, that like they'd done something and didn't really have the same fire and intensity, especially in that second half when they gave up. I mean, that's really when Western Kentucky lit it up as far as their field goal shooting, and that's not the kind of defense that he had seen. But just explain what he means when he says his team played like they were full.
Yeah, I mean that was a good. Any road win is a good win, and there they are. They go and win at Colorado State and beat them by 22, 24 points, whatever the score was, and they get on the plane to come home. They're sitting there 6-1, and they're getting receiving votes in the top 25 poll, and they're hearing all the things, and rightfully so, all the right, deservingly things being said about them by me and other people that follow college basketball and cover it on a national level. And for a young team, you don't know sometimes as a coach, do you still have all of their attention, and do they still understand we're 6-1 because of how did we get to be 6-1? And they can forget that quickly. They can forget that from one half to the next. So that should be a loss from Western Kentucky, but more importantly, it should be a lesson. That lesson, if that was, and Mike's got a good pulse on his kids. So if he thought that they're a little full, he means like a little full of himself, a little full of who we are and what we've done, and they forgot to bring that hard hat, lunch pail, go sick 'em dog type mentality they've been playing with. So I expect he's had some hard practices this week, knowing Mike. And around semester exams, you can have some really good practices. Because these days, it's not like, Clay, when you and I were in school, like semester exams of these kids right now were 6 or 7 days. Some of them don't even have any tests. Like they can take their tests early, or their grade can be good enough they don't have to take a test. So there's a ton of free time. There's not near as many tests being taken.
Yeah, my grades were never good enough that I didn't have to take tests. I'll just be honest.
But I'm just telling you, sometimes they've changed. Like when I was coaching over there, like, okay, I need to see the list of final exams for next week. It'd be like 10 tests altogether for 13 kids. Like, what's going on here? So it's a little bit different. So I expect they've gotten after it over there in Bud Walton, and we'll be for the rest of this week getting ready for the Road Runners.
And shot some free throws, right?
Hopefully they made some free throws.
Didn't just shoot them, okay?
Just shot them. Yeah.
Jimmy, I'll get you out of here with this. I'm curious to get your take on Tennessee after their big win over Gonzaga. Were you surprised by that, or is Tennessee just that good and going to challenge for a national title this year?
No, I wasn't surprised by it. I had Tennessee early in the year, and they're the real deal. Like they have just a physical, serious approach to the game. They're grown men. They know how they need to play to win. Grant Williams and Schofield, that's two guys on one team that they're just a mismatch. Like you can't guard either one of them with a guard, and you can't really guard either one of them with a big. And very few teams have one guy like that, and they have two. So there's such a humble, workmanlike spirit about that team when I'm around them. They're an older team. They won last year. By watching them practice, watching them play, being around them, I was actually with them in their pregame meal about 3 weeks ago. You have no idea if they won 4 games last year or 34. Like, they have a complete focus about this year and where they're trying to go, and they're a unbelievably good, solid, sound defensive team. Like, they give you nothing. You have to make hard shots against them, and they run their offense through Williams and through Schofield time and time again, and they're a serious contender for the Final Four. I had to pick, like all the other ESPN analysts before the year, 4 teams for the Final Four. You're guessing at that point. You can make some educated guesses. And I took Tennessee out of this league just because of I trust them, as much as anything. I took Tennessee, I took Gonzaga, took Syracuse, and Kansas State, who has not lived up to that right now, but they got everybody back from the Elite Eight team, and their best player didn't even play in that Elite Eight game. So we'll see what happens to them going forward. But to answer your question, Tennessee absolutely is good enough to not only win the SEC this year, but really they could win the whole thing.
Jimmy, great stuff, man. Thanks so much for hopping on with us, as always. Look forward to doing it again soon.
Okay, Bart, Clay, you guys have a good night.
You too, Jimmy. Jimmy Dykes, ESPN college basketball analyst, with us on the First Security Bank Hotline. Best in the business, I've said for a long time, and nothing I don't think will change my mind on that.
I expected him to get around to talking about Tennessee's defense. Jimmy didn't disappoint.
You can help make Christmas a bit brighter for the nearly 4,500 Arkansas children in foster care. From now through December 15th, Restore Hope Arkansas and Red Door Tables invite you to drop off a monetary gift card, or new unwrapped toy at any First Security banking location. Donations will be distributed to local children through partner agencies of the Arkansas Division of Children and Family Services. Let's help make Christmas a magical time for all the children of Arkansas.
This is Sports Talk with Bo Mattingly, streaming live on sportandstory.com.
All right. First off, let's give Western Kentucky a lot of credit. I thought they came in with the right mindset, and in the end, they wanted it more than we did. I thought we looked sluggish on defense in terms of getting to spots, and then it came down to making plays, making free throws, and you go back, the course of a game, free throws kind of add up, and they made theirs, especially the big guy who's making free throws going down the stretch, and they made some clutch plays. And but like I said, talent-wise, a very talented basketball team, and this is another learning curve for our young basketball team. How do you handle the success? And you got to have the understanding. You got to come out and you got to defend. And I didn't think we defended the way we're capable of defending. But let's give credit to Western Kentucky as well.
Mike, what was the plan coming out of the timeout with 19 seconds left? They'd taken the lead, and then what were you guys looking for?
Obviously, we wanted to get the floor spread and get it inside, attack, get a foul, or let's get the ball into Dan. And if they collapse, which they were doing, let's get it to the shooters. We had a little more success than when we opened up the floor and we were in attack mode. They made a good play. Clock went down, and they made a good play. Big fella blocked the shot. But we were trying to get the ball in Dan, trying to get to the free throw line. I think that was what we were trying to do, and try to find Isaiah spotting up or Mason spotting up. So we had the floor spread. Oh, you talking about the one Isaiah? You talking about the one he shot? Well, the guy made a play. I thought if he went maybe one more step, he had Adriel wide open. So, but hindsight's 20/20. That's the learning curve. You got to learn how to make plays and make the right play. But the play before that, you go down.
You are dialed into Sports Talk. Got something to say? Join the show by calling the T-Mobile listener line at 877-447-4040. Join America's best unlimited network, T-Mobile. Filling in for Bo today, here is Bart Pullman.
We've been counting down the days till Christmas on the show. Today we are at day 7, and we present to you the 7 best moments from Tim from Little Rock on the show.
Sports Talk
Presented by Swift's Jewelry, your personal jeweler since 1956.
The 7 best Tim from Little Rock moments. This epic comeback.
Quit talking and give me a fair shake here.
Life's not fair, Tim.
Are you going to cry?
Oh, hey, no, you're the one going to cry.
Oh.
Nice. That was sharp.
The time he said goodbye.
Okay. I'm through with you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Golly. Why couldn't we have gotten there a long time ago?
Hey, listen, Bo.
I thought you were through.
I thought he said bye.
Hey, listen, Bo. You
just walked out the door and came back. What do you think, we're married?
The show he thought Bo produced.
You produced Being with Brett Bielema.
It wasn't being with. Being. Wow. What was that? Was it a show about his wife?
His attack on Mike Irwin.
Mike Irwin is a simpleton. So is he.
I haven't said anything. I don't know what you...
Oh, this is your fault.
The time he quoted Good Will Hunting.
Full of crap, and so are you. Period. How about those apples? How do you like that?
Williams' mental picture of Tim.
My mental picture of that dude is him sitting in his trailer looking at the wall. He's got the velour picture of Elvis on one wall. He's got, the dogs playing pool on the other. He's got his Bonneville sitting outside, or his Pontiac Aztec, GMC Jimmy, whatever.
And the time he thought he was off the air.
You don't have a bigger fan than me.
What?
And I'm going to tell you that right now.
Really?
That's a fact.
That's the most surprising thing I've heard today. This is like a whole new Tim. I mean, I don't even know this guy existed.
Well, listen, it's obvious you're off the air right now, but here's the deal. I love you. I think Arkansas is going to, hey, if something ever happened to you, we're going to miss your I do believe that.
Tim from Little Rock, ladies and gentlemen. So happy that Tim is back in our lives. The 12 Days Till Christmas Countdown is brought to you by Swift's Jewelry. Guys, if you're looking for the perfect piece of jewelry for Christmas this year, Swift's is the place to go. They make it easy to find the perfect gift for everyone on your holiday shopping list. They have their very own Swift signature watches for men and women, diamond and colored gemstone jewelry, officially licensed Razorback jewelry, and a huge selection of engravable gifts. Check them out at swiftsjewelry.com and on social media at swiftsjewelry. And we've got a special giveaway during the 12 Days of Christmas Countdown from Swifts, so stay tuned and be keeping up. You might be the lucky winner. Clay, thanks for being here.
Thank you. I'm ready for my watch.
You are listening to Sports Talk, produced by Bart Pullman, directed by Sire Radler. Want the latest commentary, interviews, takes, and phone calls?
Anytime, anywhere.
Check out Sports Talk Primetime, Arkansas's premier sports talk podcast. Find it on iTunes